Manager Mark Germani is suing his ex-wife, 28-year-old emergency room registrar Isela Wally, for unauthorized charges on his credit card. Isela says it's her credit card also.
Order, all rise. Yeah, this is case number 478 on the calendar in the matter of Germani versus Wally. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Germani, you and the defendant were married. You are now divorced. How long were you married?
5 years.
Do you have children together?
Yes, ma'am.
How many children?
2.
Who do the children live with?
They live with me.
According to your complaint, after the divorce, your wife ran up a bill on your American Express card.
Yes, ma'am.
And then she went into what had been a joint account of yours.
It's actually what it was, a home equity account.
And she withdrew $2,000 from
correct.
that home equity, and there was $3,000 in the reserve fund that you could have drawn from.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You don't deny that you ran up this bill on American Express?
No, I don't deny that I ran it up.
Okay.
I don't believe I owe him anything.
Okay. We'll get to it in a second.
Okay.
When were you divorced? What was the date of the divorce?
July 17th, 2000.
And when was the first charge on the American Express card?
November.
November of 2000.
November 2000.
So it was clearly after the divorce?
Yes.
Okay. And how much did you charge on the American Express card?
$1,000.
How much?
$1,344.79.
Explain to me why you don't owe him that money.
Well, first of all, because I thought this was my account, he gave me the card in an envelope, and also he told me after I did it, he told me first of all, he said he was going to press charges. Then a couple of days later, he called me back and said, don't worry about it. I'm not going to press any charges.
Ms. Wally, you thought this was your account that you were charging things on that you wanted and that you planned to pay for.
Yes.
Is that right?
Right.
So why don't you pay for them?
Because he said, don't worry about it.
No, he didn't. He said,
Yes,
don't worry,
he
I'm
did.
not going to press charges. There's
He
a
said,
difference.
don't worry about it. I told him, I'll make the payments. He says, how much do you plan on paying? I said, I don't know, $30, $40 a week, a month.
Get out of here. You don't pay American Express that way, madam. You have to pay them the balance in full. All right, forget that. You owe them $1,344.79. I don't know where your head is. Now, you withdrew $2,000 from a home equity line of credit.
It's also my account. I have every right to it if it's
Who
on
said so?
Who said so?
You have a
My
judge...
credit report.
No
the bank.
way, Miss Wally. Get your head together. You are divorced from him. You cannot obligate him for anything anymore. When you have a home equity line of credit, you have to pay that back. Who's supposed to pay it back? You or him?
I told him I was going to make payments on it because I needed a car to be able to go see my kids because they told me they were not a taxi service and that I should get a car in order to pay, in order to be able to see my kids. So I needed a car right away so I can go see my kids whenever I felt like it, which even after that, I wasn't able to go see my kids.
Miss
Thanks,
Wally,
Leanne.
Miss Wally, hey, do you pay child support?
No.
Why not?
We have joint custody with
He
the
lives-
children living primarily with the father, and no custody is to be paid as long as the custody remains joint. And the only
Oh, so
reason
you
why
gave
the
it-
custody
is that
is
what you're
joint,
Listen.
the only reason why the custody is joint was because I was afraid to fight him against this because he was always telling me, all you are is a poor Mexican wetback without an education, and the judge is not going to listen to you.
Miss Wally, listen to me. You don't sound like you're a victim to me. You sound very smart. If you accessed a home equity line of credit and took out money, and if you spent $1,300.44 on things. By the way, what did you buy on American Express?
If I may,
Yeah, let me see.
I have
I'm just curious if you were in such dire need to have a
these
car.
are the actual,
Why
This
would
was
you
way
spend?
before I needed
the
to
actual
have a
tickets
car.
that were signed.
Because he had let me use his car for a while until Leanne moved in and they needed the car to trade it in for a Durango.
Dresses. So you bought yourself clothes. Clarence, you bought makeup and stuff. Eyewear and eye exams. Was that for you?
Yes, it was.
Who'd you buy shoes for?
He's wearing them.
He's wearing them. Mm-hmm. You bought men's shoes for your former husband?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Actually, the shoes I'm wearing, I bought myself.
Did she buy you a pair of shoes?
I received shoes in Christmas as a Christmas present for my children of December of 2000.
Okay. So, Miss Wally, once you are divorced, all of your financial obligations to the other are concluded. You cannot obligate him to do anything. If you used his American Express card and expected him to pay the bill, you are mistaken.
I didn't expect him to pay the
then
bill.
You have to pay the bill.
I expected to pay the bill myself.
Good, then you pay the bill. And as far as the
only
2000...
thing is, then he told me, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the payments or anything.
No, Miss Wiley, you're not paying attention. If you said to him, I'll pay the American Express account $20 or $30 a month, he can't say to you that's okay, because American Express does not take their money at $20 or $30 a month. They're not a Visa or a MasterCard where you can pay so much and you owe them for the rest of your life. So you owe him this money. And if you said to him, if you gave him an alternative, that alternative was unsatisfactory because his credit would be in the toilet. As far as the home equity is concerned, the home equity is merely a line of credit. That is not money in the bank in a joint account. It's money that has to be returned. And just because the line of credit may have been taken out at a time when you were together doesn't mean that you are able to take advances on that money and expect him to pay for it.
I didn't expect him to pay for it.
So good. So what are we doing here? You owe him...
He's the one that brought me here.
Never received any money.
Because you told me it was okay. You told me...
Oh, please, Mr. Germani, Mr. Germani,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Germani, listen to me very carefully,
Yes,
sir.
ma'am.
I don't know whether she just doesn't get it or whether she just doesn't get it.
He says ex-wife Isela Wally made charges on his credit card after their divorce. Isela says she had every right to use it.
She owes you $3,344.79.
I agree.
That's what she owes you. And if she doesn't get it, she doesn't get it. I would suggest you do the smart thing. If you haven't closed out all your accounts by now, publish notices. I suggest that you do that. She is angry. She will continue to be angry. I have no idea if she's working, why she's not paying child support if you have primary custody of the children.
We have joint
She should
custody.
be. No.
Yeah.
You may have joint legal custody, madam, but if primary physical custody resides in one parent, the other parent pays child support. That's it, and I don't care whether you wear a dress or a skirt or you wear pants. The other parent pays child support. You're lucky you're not paying child support. Don't take further advantage of the situation. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The only reason why we're here is because Leanne is the one who wanted to proceed with this.
Actually, the woman in my life has opened my eyes to the fact that this will continue to happen unless I do something about it.
I shouldn't have had to pay this money because he told me not to worry about it.
Get a lawyer when you get divorced.
4-year-old cook Stephanie Castile is suing her former roommate, 23-year-old nursing assistant Angie Garcia, for an assault and for the return of property. Angie is countersuing for unpaid rent, utility bills, and damage to her property.
Miss Castile, is this your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
She necessary to be here today?
She witnessed the defendant attacking me.
Would you take her outside, Bert?
Sure.
Thank you.
Come on.
All right, Miss Castile, according to your complaint, you moved in with your child to the defendant's home. Defendant also had children. You lived there for a while, and there came a time, an evening, when she was supposed to babysit. You wanted to go out. You went to sleep. She went out. You missed your party. There was an altercation when she came home, and you claim she attacked you and assaulted you.
Yes, ma'am.
In addition, you say that she has some property that belongs to you from a car of yours that was repossessed. Ms. Garcia says that you were the aggressor in this altercation that took place over the babysitting, that she doesn't have any of your property, and she is counterclaiming for back rent, for damage that you allegedly did to her property, and for things that you took from her home when you left.
Yes.
When did you move in with her, Ms. Castile?
It was in January of 2000.
What was the rent arrangement that you had?
The rent arrangement was to split the house payment, and we each had to pay $330.
And split other household expenses.
Utilities, yes.
Now tell me about this assault. When did it take place?
On May 30th of 2001,
What was the babysitting arrangement?
I was going out that night. She wasn't going to babysit for me, but I had plans to go to a live boxing match. And
She was not going to babysit for you?
no, I had another babysitter arranged. I went to lay down and take a nap. When I woke up, she was gone, and her kids were there.
What time did she come home?
2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
And what happened when she came home?
I asked her why she left her children there while I was sleeping. She was really drunk and really defensive and saying, if I didn't like it, oh well, too bad. The next thing I knew, she was on top of me, choking me. She had her knees up over my arms. Then she grabbed my hair, was punching me in the face. I have some pictures.
I'd like to see the pictures, please.
When I tried to push her off me, she bit my thumb, which the thumb picture didn't turn out. And she also bit my back.
Okay, what happened next?
she couldn't find the phone, so she ran to the neighbor's house to call 911 or have them call it. Finally, the police came, and I got the police report.
I see it, please.
But at the time, the police didn't take a police report. They didn't even take our names. So the next morning, I went to the police station, and that's when I got that police report. And I also had to make a report against the police for, I guess, not taking a report because they didn't even take our names. So because I had to move out, I had to use my car payment money to move out. And the bank came to get the car, and a letter was sent to our address that was stating where my belongings that were inside the car were going to be mailed. And the belongings were mailed to my boss's house, and she showed up on that day. And
How do you know that?
He told me that.
Where is he?
He wouldn't come.
You can't tell me what he said because that's hearsay. Now tell me your version, Ms. Garcia, about the events of May 30th.
We were both supposed to go out together, and I had a sitter for our children. Well, she called and said that she couldn't do it anymore. So she was sleeping on the couch, taking a little nap.
Who called and said they couldn't do it anymore?
My babysitter, my friend Krista. She was going to babysit for both of our children, and she called and said she couldn't do it. I still wanted to go out. As a parent, she didn't want to go, so I put my children and hers to bed, and I went out. I got a call on my cell phone.
Where did you go?
I went to the bar. I got a call on my cell phone after the bar, about 1. And
about 1 o'clock in the morning?
And she had left a message saying, I don't appreciate you leaving me with your kids, just going off on this message. So I went home. And she was mad about it, freaking out. Well, you knew I wanted to go out too, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, well, I'm sorry, next time you can go out. Well, she went upstairs. She was still rambling upstairs. Well, you need to pay me for babysitting your kids and blah, blah, blah. It's like, whatever.
Just a minute, so she went upstairs?
She went upstairs, yes.
And where did you go?
And I was downstairs, and she was yelling at me, you need to pay me for babysitting your kids. And I went upstairs, and I said, what are you...
So then you went upstairs?
I went upstairs, yes. And I said, what are you talking about? I babysit your kid all the time, you know? We started fighting. We got on the bed. She kicked me. I flipped over the bed.
But you said, no, we passed that over. She went into her room.
No, we started fighting in the hall. And it led right, the door was right here. It's just a little
What do you
tiny
mean
hall.
you started fighting? How did that start?
She's like right in my face, you know, yelling at me for going out. And I had apologized several times already, you know, saying, fine, you can go out next time. I'll watch your kid. I said, it's not like you haven't left me.
I heard that already.
Yes, so then we started fighting.
Started fighting is a conclusion. So far, we're just at the verbal end of it, Ms. Garcia.
Like, okay, we're face to face, yelling at each other. Then pushing starts, okay? So then you start
who started
fighting.
the pushing?
I'm not sure. Maybe me, maybe her, maybe both. I had been drinking, but she was not nice like she's trying to say she was.
I don't think she was nice at all. But I think that you had been out and you had been drinking.
Yeah, and she was mad because she didn't go with me.
Okay, so you pushed her.
So we started fighting, yes.
No, you pushed her.
No, we were face to face, and I'm not saying I pushed her first because I don't know who pushed who first.
She says that you struck her first.
No, I didn't. No.
How do you know that if you don't remember?
Well.
What happened next?
And then after the fight, the police were called. They said, well, you'll both go to jail. Okay, so we didn't want to press charges. So we both stayed in the house together that night. So I woke up the next morning, and she had majority of her things on the porch. Well, I noticed she was taking my things also. I said, no, get out. You're not going to be taking my things too. So I locked her out. So then she called the police again, and then they came over and assisted or stood there with us while she got the rest of her things.
But you claimed that sometime later she came back and she took things that belonged to you, and she also vandalized your property. When was that?
I went out of town, and I got a call from my husband saying that the house, the door was wide open, it had been broken into. The neighbors, I talked to my neighbors, they said...
You can't tell me what anybody said to you,
Well,
Ms.
I have the police report right here.
I'll take a look at the police report.
The witness said that he's seen her.
I'll take a look at the police report. So you advised the police that an unknown person had broken into your house?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I want to hear what money you say she owes you for rent.
Okay, $560. Then
for what months?
May and June.
You don't get any money for June. Did you pay May's rent?
Yes, I did.
How much did you pay
Because I moved
in May?
out of the last day of May.
How much did you pay in May?
$260 probably. I don't know. I don't have a receipt. I always she'd tell me what we owed, and I'd give it to her, and she'd...
I gave
and
her
that was
a
the
check.
first of the month that you paid
Right.
rent.
I had given her my $280, it was, and she was supposed to pay it. She never paid it and kept my $280, so therefore I had to come up with another $560.
You have proof that you gave her this money?
No, I don't.
All right. Listen, and the only thing I'm entertaining here,
That's fine.
quite frankly,
Okay,
is,
then I
is
have
this assault.
I have my insurance paper, which I
Insurance
think
for
is
what?
When she robbed me, when she broke into my house.
But you have no proof that you did it.
Okay,
Listen
that's
to me.
fine.
You have a police report where they say they spoke to a neighbor
Yes, that seen her entering the house.
that said that they
weekend that
saw
I was
her
gone.
and a friend enter the house. That is not sufficient proof
Okay.
of a burglary and a theft and a vandalism. Do you understand?
Yes.
Period. End of discussion. And I'm certain that they didn't arrest her for this. Is that right?
No, they didn't.
Because they didn't have proof. Now, you have no proof for the police to arrest. You certainly don't have any proof for court.
I also have a
You Go
gas
ahead.
bill where we were behind on the gas.
That was
As of
also
when?
behind when I moved in.
No,
What?
it wasn't.
That was also behind when
You
I
moved in 2000.
Yeah, and that's.
You moved in
we
for
were not
January
behind.
of 2000.
Yeah,
The
and I
bill was like
wasn't.
$600 a month to heat the house.
So how much were you behind?
$424.71 and $332.62.
Couldn't add these up? What else?
I also have a protection order on her because after I moved out of Omaha, I moved in with my brother. She came down there and just walked into our apartment. This was 9 months ago, and she's nonstop.
Well, she better stop.
Obviously won't
She
leave me
better
alone.
stop. However, Miss Garcia, you assaulted her.
I know.
You had had a little too much to drink. You followed her upstairs, and you were the aggressor, and that's unacceptable. So forget your $378. That's going to be absorbed in the judgment that I'm entering for the plaintiff. What's the value of the property that you say was taken? $1,800? Well, I'm going to deduct that from the $2,300 you're suing for. So that means that you are seeking $500 for this assault.
Right.
Well, you are entitled to that. But from that, I'm going to deduct $378 because that's what you owe for the utilities for the time that you did live there prior to May.
I paid on them.
Well, let me see.
I gave you the electric that I paid off before I left, too. That was
Let me see.
$142.
Let me see. $142 you paid?
Yes, ma'am. The deposit was $200 and something. They paid the bill, and then they sent me what was left over.
All right. I'm giving you $500 for the assault. That's what you were suing for. From that, I am adding and subtracting these utilities and some money for the utilities that you paid. That leaves you a balance of $264 on your claim of $500, and that's what I'm awarding you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $264. Counterclaim is dismissed. You have no proof.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She left me with all kinds of bills, which I and my husband had to help me pay.
She wasn't working and kind of partied and slept all day, and I felt used.
I may have not have brought pictures, but I did have marks also.
We had a lot of problems trying to live together.
Patrice Lockett is suing the father of her child, 24-year-old marketing analyst Jason Perry, for a loan to pay back an employer who accused him of stealing.
Order. Order in the court. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 453 on the calendar, the matter of Lockett versus Perry.
Thank you.
Quite welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Lockett, according to what I read in your complaint, you and the defendant have a long relationship dating back about 5 years. You have a 2-year-old child together. It is your claim that in 1997 you made a loan to the defendant. Again, in 1999 you made a loan to the defendant. Now that you are no longer a couple, you want those loans paid back. He is counterclaiming. He says you vandalized his car, and years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, you were using his car and got parking tickets. He wants you to pay those 4-year-old parking tickets, right?
That's correct.
Have you nothing better to do with your time? Tell me about this first loan in 1997.
In 1997, Mr. Perry and I worked at a company together, and I quit before he was fired, and he was caught stealing money from the company, and they had made an arrangement for him to make payments, and I used to go with him every week to drop off the payments because he was not allowed to set foot on the premises anymore, and after a while he decided to stop making payments, and they demanded the money in full, and he asked me to loan him the money, and I did.
How much did you give him at that time?
$2,150.
Now, what arrangements were made to repay that money?
He was supposed to start making payments to me as soon as he got back to work, like within the next month or so.
Well, did he ever do that?
No, he never made any payments to me. He lost his job soon thereafter, and after that, he was fired from like 4 other positions, 2 for stealing apparel or money as well. And every time it was time for him to make a payment to me, there was always something else that he had to do with his money so that he could not pay me my money back.
So then you had a child with him?
We had a child together.
No, afterwards. After he lost all his jobs, you knew he caught stealing. Just listen to me. After you knew he got caught stealing, according to you, he promised to pay you back this money in a month, and he never did. So he didn't make payments in all of 1997. He didn't make payments in all of 1998. He lost all these jobs. That's why he didn't make payments. So then you decided to start a family together. Does that sound like very good judgment to you?
No, I was young, and I was in love. So no, it's not very good judgment, and I would be the first one to say that.
All right. When was the last time you asked him for this money?
The last time I asked him for the money, it was December of 2000. And we were on the phone talking, and I said, you know, it's entering another year. Do you think you could come up with some of my money? And he said, well, I don't plan on paying you anytime soon, and that the first time he would be able to make me a payment would be 2003 because he planned on giving me a lump sum of money. And that, okay.
Now, after 1997, and he didn't pay you back a penny, then, according to you, you lent him more money.
Yes.
When?
In 1999, he called me from jail. He had been arrested on a traffic violation of some sort. He said he had some of the money with him in jail, that he was going to be able to use some of that for bail money, and that as soon as he got out of jail, we were going to go to the bank. When I got to the jail, I bailed him out. His sister and I drove him to the bank. He made up some story about the police keeping his identification card, and he could not pay me the money back again. So after everything was over, he had it was a fine due for $300, and he refused to pay the fine. And he told me I should just go on and sign my bail money over too, and he would pay me back that at a later date. And I never signed.
So he had a fine.
A fine.
Of the same amount as your bail money, which is $300. So you just signed your bail money.
I didn't sign it over. I refused to sign it over. And after a while, they said if he didn't make payment, that it was going to be forfeit. So it was forfeit anyways. And he just never gave me the money back for that.
When you were arrested in 1999 on this traffic problem that you had, were you arrested in your car?
Yes.
What kind of a car were you arrested in?
It was not my car. It belonged to my sister.
Just a second. Was that my question?
You said what type of car? It was
Yeah, I didn't ask you whose car it was. I
Okay.
said, what type of car is
Make
it?
and model?
Yes.
89 Nissan Sentra, I believe.
The Toyota Camry. It was a Toyota Camry that he was arrested in, a blue Toyota Camry.
Oh, yes, I remember it well. Do you currently own a car?
Yes, I do.
What kind of car do you own?
I own a black 1991 Eagle Premier.
How much did you pay for the car?
$2,500.
And what kind of work are you doing now, Mr. Perry?
I'm a market analyst.
You work for a company?
Yes,
How long have you been working for that company?
3 years.
Who has physical custody of your child?
Miss Lockett does.
Are you currently under a support order for your child?
Yes, I am.
Are you up to date in your support payment?
Oh, yes.
Is that correct?
No, he owes money on it still. He contacted me and told me they said they were going to garnish his income tax because he still owes back money on child support.
How much does he owe on his child support?
I don't know how much he owes on it. I don't know.
When did he start to make child support
He
payments?
started to make child support payments when my son was almost a year old, so he owed money from June. I didn't get my first payment until October of '99.
That's not correct, Your Honor. She's being dishonest at this point.
Okay, so there were a couple of months, but since October of 1999, he's been making the support payments.
Oh, it's garnished, so yes, I get it directly.
Oh, it is garnished,
yes,
right,
it
from
is
his
garnished
salary?
because he refused to
that's
pay it.
perfect. All right, Mr. Perry, let's start out with this $2,150.
Okay.
What company were you working for at the time that Miss Lockett indicates that you had some difficulty?
I should say, Your Honor, that Miss Lockett is making up the bulk of her story.
All right, what company was he working for?
Bagel.
Bagel. Where are
Yes.
they located?
It's in Rochester, New York.
And what was he doing there?
It wasn't as high as a manager, but he was in a position higher than me, so maybe like a key holder or something of that nature.
Okay. Do you remember the name of his immediate superior?
It was Ron, but he's no longer with the company.
That's convenient.
Oh, I'm good at this. Believe me, I'm good at this. Do you recall whether or not they reported this to the police?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Also very convenient. Sorry, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
Do you remember the entire amount that it was alleged he stole?
No, he never told me how much. He never told me how much money they said he stole.
Okay. Now, Mr. Perry,
Yes, Your Honor.
before I go and try to make heads or tails of this thing, why don't you tell me? You said there wasn't the whole truth about this incident at Bagel, but it was only a partial truth.
No.
So tell me your version of what happened in 1997 when you worked for Bagel.
Your Honor, Miss Lockett is manipulating facts that have happened.
No, I'm asking you, just tell me what
There's
happened.
nothing that happened at Bagel. So to tell you, answer your question specifically.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened at Bagel. She can provide absolutely no documentation because there was never any incidents of me stealing money or doing anything of that nature at Bagel. I resigned from Bagel. She is lying. She cannot prove
Your Honor,
any
that's
of
not true.
anything that she is saying is
Okay.
totally a lie.
That-
As far as that goes, there is partial truth to what she's saying.
So then let me hear the partial truth before you irritate me and I have to go investigate myself.
I was arrested on a traffic violation, and she did bail me out of jail.
I'm not there yet.
Oh, that's the only truth.
I'm talking about 1997, an alleged loan to you of $2,150.
That's all a lie. That's all a lie.
That's not true.
Okay. You have a bank withdrawal for $2,150
I have
on
a
or about
bank.
that time?
Yep, a bank statement that I withdrew.
Can I see it? Did you give that money in check or cash?
I gave it to him in cash. He went with me to the bank, actually. He picked me up from school and drove me to the bank so I can give him all of my money.
Oh, my goodness.
What's the area code in Rochester, New York?
716.
Thank you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catrice Lockett says Jason Perry owes her for paying back an employer who accused him of stealing. Jason denies the charge and the loan.
Good morning. This is Judge Judy Scheindlin. I have a case before me that involves a former employee of yours. I don't know how long you've been there, but this person was employed back in 1997. Jason Perry, P-E-R-R-Y. Okay, great. I'm taking testimony now with regard to some money that he paid back to Bagel in October of 1997. A payment of $2,150. Is that right? Okay. What was the total amount it was alleged that he took? Do you remember? Right. Okay. You have been an absolute angel. Thanks, Lisa. Bye-bye. You stole $5,000. Your parents paid back the rest. $2,150 was paid by her. Do you? Because that was the last payment. According to somebody who has, in fact, been there for a very long time and knows you, sir. See what happens when you lie? You think I'm stupid?
No, but that's
Good.
not true.
So, it's not true. No, I called somebody and I said, listen, are you familiar with Mr. Perry? Oh, yes, I am. There an incident in 1997 with regarding some money that he paid back to Bagel? Oh, absolutely. Do you recall how much money he paid?
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. Judgment for the plaintiff on her complaint in the amount of $2,435. I'm not even getting into anything else with him, because once somebody lies, they don't get a second chance with me. Your counterclaim's dismissed, sir. That's all.
You may step out.
I can't believe this. She was lying through her teeth, and I don't know who Judge Judy called. That's ridiculous. But this whole thing has been a farce.
Feel like I got my justice, and I want everyone to watch out for this man because he will suck you dry.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Chase versus Brooks. Step forward.
33-year-old bus driver Tammy Chase is suing her former friends, Susie and Larry Brooks, for car payments. Tammy says the Brooks repossessed the car.
Miss Chase, the defendants were friends of yours.
Yes.
And some time ago, you were talking about buying a new car. According to what I've read in your papers, the defendants suggested that they had a car, and if you wished to take over the payments on the car would be yours when the car was paid for.
Yes.
And you did take over the payments and take possession of the car.
Mm-hmm.
According to you, you made all those payments, and despite that, they came and repossessed the car. You won all the payments that you made the time that the car was in your possession. They say you were late with your payments and sometimes came up short, so they repossessed the car, right?
Right.
When did you take possession of the car?
In May. I made the first payment in April, though.
And what were the monthly payments?
It was $387.68
And how many months did you have the car?
from April till October.
7 payments you made in total. Did you pay by check or cash?
Cash, 1 check, and money orders.
Let me see the checks and the money orders.
It begins here. And it goes on to the other pages.
And how many payments do you claim that you received for the car?
I claim that she made all 7 payments.
Okay, so there's no dispute as to that.
No.
She made all 7 payments.
Right.
If she made all 7 car payments, why did you take back the car?
Because she made the payments, but she made them late.
Yeah.
And she also made them, she didn't pay them all in full. She was short.
But you said she made all the payments she was supposed to make.
She never paid the full amount each month, and she never paid it on time.
How much short do you claim she was?
Well, 1 month I got a check that was a $70 check that bounced.
Which month was that?
This was in August. When I called her and asked her about it, she said to talk to her boyfriend because it wasn't he owed her the money and it wasn't her responsibility.
Did she ever make up that check?
No, her boyfriend did.
I don't care whether she or her boyfriend did. So you got the full amount for August.
No, I got that. First of all, the payments were late. Our agreement, I have a written agreement stating that if she was late, I would take the car back.
And that was a 5-day grace period.
How much do you claim
That I
she
never
paid
used.
you in total towards the car in the 7 months she had the car, madam?
Probably.
Not probably. You must have a record.
I don't have a record because I've never given her a receipt because I've never seen her since June. So I couldn't have given her receipts.
Look, Miss Brooks, I'm not asking you about receipts. If somebody is short when they give you money, then you keep a ledger. The ledger says, this is what she's paid me, this is what she owes me. What, are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding you. I couldn't do that because, first of all, she never paid me. She paid my husband. She never paid my husband.
He's not allowed to talk. Right?
Okay, okay.
You're
Well,
doing
can I
all the
tell you-
talking.
Can I tell you how it started first so that you can understand where we're at right now? There's a situation
I don't
that gets to
care
this point.
about anything other than the car. You can't
That's
take
what
back...
I want to tell you about.
Go ahead.
Okay, what had happened was we have a written agreement here stating that if she was late on the car, at any time after the grace period, we would take back possession of the car.
Which I never used the grace period
Excuse
at
me,
all.
it's my turn.
Well, then tell
Okay,
the truth.
then in July she started making late payments. I would call her on the 5th and say, Tammy, if there's going to be a problem with making the car payment, you need to call me and let me know. She would call me the date of the thing and say, I need 5 more days grace period, I don't have all the money. So there was always a problem. So then there was a problem with reckless driving in the car. So we took the car back once. We had the car back in our possession for 1 week, and then we gave it back to her. Then when we gave her back the car, then the problems continued to start. So what we decided to do, I told her, Tammy, instead of making the payments, I said, bring me back the car. It's not working out because every time I would call on the phone, there was a verbal abuse. I'll pay you whenever I want to. It was a big
But
problem.
you can't take the car back and then not give her back any money.
I told her, when we got the car repoed, I said, I will give you $200, the money that you paid for this month, I will give it back to you in full. It's not working out. It's nothing but problems.
Just a second. So you were willing to give her back the money she paid for the last month and you were going to take back the car. What about some of the other money that she paid towards paying off your car note?
Well, we never asked for a down payment on the car. We've been paying on the car for
difference?
3 years.
Yeah. You've been paying on the car for 3 years and she paid on it for 7 months. But you have the car.
Right. We have the car, but it's not necessarily because of the car payment. It was because of what she was doing in the car. We could not be responsible.
Let us assume that you are correct, that she did not live up to her agreement to pay the note on time, and that at least 1 month she gave you a $70 check that bounced. It bounced, did it not?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So that
But we still
clearly
put on
is
it.
a late payment.
Correct.
Because it bounced. So that's in violation of your agreement.
Correct.
Fine. You take back the car. What you're suggesting is that when you take back the car, she loses all of her money. Is that what you're suggesting? You have the equity in the car. You have the car.
stereo.
I'm speaking.
sorry.
You're not going to get all this money back. I mean, you have to pay something. You had the use of a car for 7 months. How much do you think you should have to pay for your use of that car? Because you used it for 7 months. You're not going to get all your money back. That means you had use of a car for 7 months for free.
Okay, first of all, I used it for 6 months because I made the first car payment in April. I didn't get it till May.
6 months.
I don't know. I've never thought about it. I figured I should get the money the payments that I put into it, I should get back.
That means you had free use of a car.
Can I just state one thing? Okay, the car, they did not repossess the car. They did not make payments to the finance company for 3 months. That's why it
Doesn't
was
make any
repossessed.
difference.
The money I was giving them, though, they weren't paying the finance company to the car.
Doesn't make any difference. You breached the agreement with them. You breached the agreement with them. They were within their rights to take back the car. You want me to read you the agreement?
No, I know
Well,
what
you know
the
the
agreement is about, but the month that the check bounced is one of the months that they didn't even pay the finance company.
It has nothing to do with you.
Can I at least get my stereo out of the car?
Yes, absolutely. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. Within 24 hours of the order, you will return the stereo to them. How much did you pay for the stereo, by the way?
$171, the receipt.
Okay, and I'm going to give you $100 per month for the 7 months that you paid for the car. That is what I consider your equity in the car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $700 plus the stereo. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Garnett is suing her daughter, 18-year-old student Tamika Garnett, for the cost of a car. Tamika says her mother has possession of the car in question.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 340 on the calendar in the matter of Garnett versus Garnett. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Miss Garnett, how long has it been since you've seen your daughter?
December 27th.
Is that the day she left?
Yes.
Have you had any contact with her since the day she left?
No.
How many kids do you have?
2.
Older or younger?
Younger, 17-year-old son.
Is he living at home with you?
Yes.
I read your complaint. According to your complaint, for your daughter's 16th birthday, she's now 18, you purchased a car for her. Is that right? You purchased a car that she drove.
Yes.
And she drove the car continuously from the time she was 16 till the time she was 18.
Yes.
Till she left. Did you have another car?
Yes.
So at the time that you purchased the car, it was really for your daughter. Yes. Miss Garnett, don't play around with me, please. Please don't play around with me.
It was a family car.
Okay. It was a family car that she was driving. You had no use for another car unless your daughter was going to be driving the car.
Right.
She moved out when she was 18. There was some argument between the two of you.
Right.
And you kept the car.
Right.
And you want her to pay for the car.
Yes.
That's what I didn't understand. You bought the car, you have the car, and you want her to pay for the car. And
Yes.
what happens after she pays for the car?
What I'm asking for is that when I bought the car, it was to help me out because I'm a full-time student, to help me out with her and her brother with after-school activities. She was in acting lessons, he's in track and basketball. What happened was 8 months ago, we started having major problems because she was secretly in a relationship that I didn't know anything about. When I found out about the relationship, we went to counseling. I suggested that we go to counseling to try to work our problems out. And when I found out about her in the relationship, I felt betrayed. I felt that she had been lying to me all of this time. And I felt like she should have come to me instead of sneaking around. So we continued to go to counseling, and it still wasn't working out. And we were still having major problems. And she was saying, well, I'm leaving, and I'm not going to stay here and take all of this. And that's when the problems happened.
Okay. But then she left. She did leave the car at your insistence. So you have the car.
Yes.
What do you want her to pay for?
Because when she had the car, she let the transmission fluid run out of it, and I had to buy a new transmission for it. And it cost about $2,800 for that.
Oh.
And I feel like I should be reimbursed for that because it was her fault. She made payments on it, and she still owes me for it.
How old was she when the transmission fluid ran out?
17.
She owes you for nothing. You may feel as if she owes you for it. You may feel as if she has a moral obligation for it, but she doesn't have a contract to pay you for it. She was a minor at the time it happened.
I wrote a contract out.
Doesn't make any difference whether you wrote a contract out or not, unless she signed a contract with you when she turned 18. You can't make a contract with a minor. So that takes care of your lawsuit. I couldn't really understand it. Still don't understand it. So let's talk about your mother. I'm not going to give this case much longer because you went to counseling with your mom, and evidently that didn't work. Is this the boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
Stand up. Tell me your name.
Chris.
Who do you live with, Chris?
My mom.
And where does Miss Garnett live?
With me.
Hmm?
She lives in my house.
Who else lives in your house?
My mom and my stepdad.
You like her?
Tamika? Yeah, she's my girlfriend.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
Do you go to school?
Yes.
What school do you go to?
American River College.
Speak up.
American River College.
And where do you go to school?
American River College.
When did you start school?
I started in August of 2000.
You like him?
Yes.
When did you meet him?
I met him freshman year in high school, and we were friends for 4 years, and then we started a relationship my senior year, and we've been together for about 7 months.
How come you didn't tell your mom about it?
Because my mother doesn't believe in interracial dating, and she told me if I ever did bring a white guy into the house that she would not approve. Mainly that is the reason why I didn't bring him around, and she knew about it. She just didn't tell me, and she told me that if she did find out about it, that there was going to be drastic measures taken. And she did, in fact, ground me for dating him the whole entire summer. Basically, I was grounded the whole entire summer, my first semester of college. For
How do you
dating
do
him.
in school?
Right, I'm doing good, actually.
What's actually?
Actually, for the situation that I've been living in, I'm doing very good, especially being my first semester in college.
How do you pay for school?
I have financial aid, and my grant pays for school.
How is it living in that house?
It's been very stress-free, and I was under a lot of stress in her house, and under the advice of my counselor, I decided, you know, maybe living in her house wasn't too good. And in fact, I was going to stay after my counselor advised me to leave the house, but she actually kicked me out the 26th of December. And
You had
told
an
me,
argument?
Yeah, we had an argument. She grabbed suitcases and she told me to take my stuff and leave, that I couldn't come back.
You didn't mean that, did you?
Well, she was being disrespectful to me, saying rude things to me that were not, you know, very respectful to me as her mother.
Did you ever tell her that you would not only disapprove of, but take measures if she ever had an interracial relationship?
No, I didn't tell her that. What happened was her best friend and her were liking Chris. And I told her, because of morals and the way that I've raised her, that friends should not date friends. What happened was her and her best friend fell completely out. There was a big mess going on because of him. Her friend had a deep crush on him, and he liked her. So that was the reason I disapproved of the relationship.
Ms. Garnett, how many times have you been married? Once?
Yes.
Divorced? Widowed?
Yes, divorced.
Divorced. How long were you married?
7 years.
Were you in love when you got married?
Yes.
How old were you when you got married?
26.
Did your parents approve?
Yes.
If they hadn't approved, what would you have done?
Tried to persuade them.
And if you couldn't persuade them, what would you have done?
Married them, probably.
Sure, you would have.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gwenice Garnett claims her daughter, Tamika Garnett, owes her for the cost of a car. Tamika says her mother kicked her out of the house because she's involved in an interracial relationship.
Ms. Garnett, it's not Chris's fault if another young lady has a terrible crush on him. Unless, of course, he did something to really encourage that. If he didn't, it's not his fault. You said to me, he cared for my daughter. He's a 19-year-old young man. He lives at home. He's going to college. Never been arrested?
No.
Never been arrested. You do drugs?
No.
I believe him. I'm a pretty good judge. Now let's look at your daughter. Beautiful?
Yes.
Clearly intelligent?
Yes.
A winner. I'm telling you, I'm looking at her and I'm listening to her. She's a winner. Sometimes you have to rely on your children's judgment, even though it wouldn't be your judgment. Even though you would like her to be a little older before she flies off. It's certainly the wrong thing for you not to be in communication. Do you know what I mean? Forget about this lawsuit. You and I both know it's nonsense. I think that the only reason you probably brought your daughter to court is you wanted to get to see her and say something to her, and you couldn't without it.
That's not true. I wanted to be reimbursed.
Oh, Miss
for
Garnett,
this
I
car.
can't even believe that. I really can't believe that. That you want to be reimbursed from your daughter who's going to college, doing well, on a grant, on financial aid.
I'm in college, too.
But you paid the money already. Listen to me.
I got a loan for that. I didn't have the money.
Listen to me, Miss Garnett. I have a simple answer for you. Sell the car.
The pink slip is in her name. How can I sell it?
She'll sign it over to you.
No, she wants that car.
Well, of course, she would like the car, but she's been doing without it for a couple of months. Is it true that your mother had to take out a loan to pay for this transmission?
Yes.
She doesn't have a lot of money.
No.
You think she could make up that money if she sold the car?
Yes.
So you prepared to let her do that?
Well,
that's a hard thing. I mean, I understand it's a hard thing. Cars for kids are really important. But if your mother took out a loan to pay for the transmission so that you would still have a car to use, and your agreement with her that you would pay her back, is that right? That's a moral thing. You can't enforce it contractually. So, although I can't order you to do that, I think that you really should consider that. Maybe that's just a step. Mom, take the car, sell it, pay off the loan that you took out. I don't want you to have a loan. Just as a nice thing to do. Miss Garnett.
Yes.
You have to be open. This is her boyfriend.
I like him. I don't have a problem.
I think that you probably should.
He
I think
is.
he looks
He's
like a
very
nice young man.
Yeah.
And she certainly is a fine young lady, so whatever you did right. For a long time, right?
Yes.
Do you see your brother?
I haven't seen him since, I've seen him periodically to go pick up mail from the house and stuff, but I haven't actually been able to spend time with him.
You miss that?
Yes.
You miss her?
Yes.
Okay. See if you can work it out. All right?
Okay.
Okay? Good luck.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'd really like to see a relationship develop between my mother and I.
Like we were mother and daughter again.
I still love her, and I always will.
I love you, Mom. I love you.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Himes versus Himes. Step forward, please.
21-year-old government document examiner Tennell Himes is suing her father, 45-year-old tree trimming supervisor Horace Himes. Tennell says while she was in boot camp, her father repossessed her car and traded it in.
Miss Himes, the defendant is your father.
Yes, ma'am.
And some time ago, you purchased a car. You needed a co-signer for the loan. Your father agreed to co-sign the loan for you. Later, you were going into the armed forces for a training period. You left the car. You claimed that your father took the car and sold it. And you want to be reimbursed for, I assume, all the money that you put into the car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When was this car purchased?
The car was purchased May the 31st of 1997.
And when did you go into the armed services?
I left to go into Air National Guard August the 31st.
Of what year?
2000.
And from the time you got the car in May of 1997 up through August 31st of 2000, were you current in all your car payments?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you find out that your father had taken the car?
Well, this is my mom, and she's my witness. I talked with my mom in September.
September what? Do you recall?
No, ma'am, because we couldn't call when I was in basic.
What
we
date,
couldn't call.
sir, did you take possession of the car?
I took possession of the car, and I can't recall the exact date, but it was in September.
So you would have had no payments due up through August 31st. Had you made September's payment?
No, the payment isn't due until September the 31st.
So you were totally up to date at the time that you left?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So according to you, your father had absolutely no reason to repossess this car?
No.
Okay.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tennell Himes says her father illegally repossessed her car and traded it in. Horace Himes says he was justified because his daughter was behind in her payments.
Okay. Mr. Himes?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll hear you, sir.
Okay, in September, I got a call from GMAC that telling me Tennell didn't pay the note on it.
Did you get a statement as to how much was owed?
Yes, ma'am. I got it
at
right
that
here.
time?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. There's a whole record on it right there.
Ms. Himes,
Yes, ma'am.
this says that in the year 2000, you failed to make a payment in May. In July, you made a payment of $166 instead of the $296.77.
Right.
And you made no payment whatsoever in August.
I love
So I would like to see proof that you made all of those payments up through August 31st. Do you
Okay.
have proof that you made all of those payments?
No, ma'am, I don't have proof because I closed out that account and I opened up a new account and I have a letter stating that they can't pull it up on the computer and I have
I'm not
that
asking
right
you
here.
to pull it up on the computer. I'm telling you that you save your checks.
And the
You're not
car-
even talking about a year.
Yes, ma'am.
So you save them.
Okay, some of the receipts that I had paid on my car note were in my car. When I got back home and I asked my dad to bring my belongings with, he hadn't even discussed even taking
This is the
car.
payment history, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're telling me that GMAC was incorrect, and what you do is to go to GMAC and said, I made these payments. Then they're going to ask you for proof that you made the payments.
Right.
What are you going to tell them? The cat ate them?
No, ma'am.
So you owed at the time, in September, $519.99, which your father, I assume, paid.
Yes, ma'am.
May I
have
see
proof.
it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. You wrote the check on September 5th, $519.99, and they received it on the 11th of
Yes,
September. Well, Ms. Himes, your father had every right to take the car back. Your agreement was that you would make the car payments. For some reason, you failed to make the car payments. What did you want him to do?
Okay, he came and got the car. When I was away and I found out that he had the car, I spoke with him. And he told me that he had made a car payment. I stated that I would send money home to him. He stated that that was okay. And if I owed him any more money, I would pay him the rest when I got home.
So then you fibbed to me before when you said to me you had made all of the car payments up through August 31st. You didn't tell me the truth. You had not made all the car payments.
But I left payments home to be paid, though.
Madam, you made no car payment at all in May, and you made half of a car payment in July.
That's what they allowed me to do that. They allowed me to do that.
You have a statement from GMAC that they were giving you a certain grace period?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. How much did you trade the car in for?
I took the car back to the car dealer to take it in because I didn't want my credit to go bad. So for them to buy the car back from me, I called the car dealer and asked him would he buy it back from me. He said, Horace, you was a good customer of ours, so bring it in, we'll see what we can do for you. The car dealer gave me $4,000 for the car. The car was worth over $6,000. That's what she owed on it.
Mr. Himes, you have a certain obligation under these circumstances to get the most that you possibly can for the car.
Right.
If you had sold this car privately, could you have gotten more than $4,000 for it?
I couldn't have got $4,000 for it. I run an ad in the paper, Judge.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How long did you run the ad in the paper? 1 week?
No, I
How
run
long?
the ad in the paper for 2 months.
And you got no takers?
No, ma'am. I had one guy to come and look at it, and he didn't want to buy it because it was messed up so.
All right, Miss Himes, I don't know why you're angry with your father, but your father certainly did what he was supposed to do as a parent. He helped you out in 1997. You got a car. For the privilege of driving around in that car and using it, you paid $247 a month. It's like leasing a car. That's what you did until you paid the whole thing off. I mean, as it happens, your father was out some money. Your father paid at least $520 in order to bring his credit up. You don't have a case against him. You have to act responsibly if you have a car. And if you ran behind in your payments, you have to understand that it's not your credit because you're in the armed services. There's a lot of protection for people in the armed services about getting sued civilly, but there's nothing to protect him. And you as his child should want to protect him, especially since he did a good deed. Your lawsuit's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
29-year-old machinist Daniel McMahon is suing his former live-in girlfriend, 34-year-old store manager Michelle McCartney, for half the deposit on an apartment and the return of his furniture. Michelle is countersuing for Daniel's share of their living expenses.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 206 on the calendar in the matter of McMahon versus McCarthy. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have seats, please.
Mr. McMahon, according to the complaint that I read, you and the defendant leased an apartment to live together. When you moved into the apartment, you put down half the security deposit. You also purchased some old furniture together. When you separated, you did not receive your security deposit back, nor the value of half the furniture that you purchased. That's what you want.
That's
right?
correct, Your Honor.
The defendant says this is pretty much a joke because you really owe her money and she has a counterclaim.
Mm-hmm.
When did you lease this apartment?
I believe it was in July of '98, June or July.
And how long did you live together?
On and off for probably a year and a half.
When did you finally separate?
About probably 5 months ago, permanently.
And how long did you actually live in the apartment?
I actually lived in the apartment full-time for approximately 2 months before I got thrown out the first time.
And then you moved back?
And then I moved back.
Well, so let's have all the months together that you actually lived there.
Probably 4 months straight, on and off for probably a year and a half.
And how much was your security deposit that you put down?
$150.
Now, tell me about this furniture that you purchased together.
First, we bought a washer and dryer. I paid $75. She paid $75.
Okay. What's next?
The next is the furniture, which her aunt was selling, and again, we each paid $75 for the furniture.
We did not.
You'll have your
That's
chance.
wrong, Your
You'll have
Honor.
your chance. So that is $275 and $150, $425. How did you pay your half of the rent, which comes to her counterclaim?
With check, with a check.
With checks?
I wrote my checks out to her.
Let me see them.
I don't have them. She packed all my stuff up.
He packed it all himself.
Mr. McMahon.
That's not true.
See, the problem is, she says that you lived together a total of 6 months. You say 4 months. The defendant says that you only paid rent for 2 of those months.
That is correct. But the only reason I paid for the first 2 months because I lived there full time. She threw me out. I had to go move into a whole nother place. And we were broken up. We started seeing each other again, and I had a separate residence.
But then you moved back in, even according to you.
Right, okay.
Sir, listen to me. Then you moved back in, at least according to you, for another 2 months on an apartment where you had a lease.
Right.
And you did not pay rent for those 2 months.
Yes, I did.
No, he didn't.
No, you just told me you didn't pay rent for those 2 months. You said you only paid rent for 2 months.
I wasn't living there full time. I was only spending 2 nights out of the week there. I already moved out into a whole nother place.
No, Mr. McMahon, now you're making that up as you're going
I am
along. You
not,
just said
Your
to me,
Honor.
you
Oh, I'm
said to
nervous.
me a moment ago, of the year and a half that you were together, you lived there 4 months, but you only paid rent for 2 months out of the 4.
No, while I was there, if I stayed there for a full month, I would pay for half of that month. If I only spent
That's
a
not
couple...
what you just told me.
Well, excuse me, Your Honor. I'm a little confused. It was...
Well, let's not get confused, sir.
But I went and got a separate residence, and then we started dating again. I would spend the weekend over there and then go back during the week to my own residence.
He never got his own residence until after the second time I threw him out. He lived with his father after the first time.
Okay, let's talk about the expenses that you say he owes you, Miss McCarthy. Let me hear.
Well, Your Honor, most of what he has said was correct. He was there May and June. I found he was cheating on me, and I threw him out. We reconciled, and he moved back in October, and he was there October, November, and December, and it was shortly after Christmas, 1998, or maybe even after the first of the year, where I threw him out for the second time. He was coming up with all these excuses why he couldn't help me out with the rent, and never paid anything. The day I threw him out, I went to do some laundry, and he had a bad habit of keeping his papers in his pants. I would check his pockets for papers, and I found a receipt for some car stereo equipment that he purchased the day before. And that's when all heck broke loose, and I threw him out.
Why?
Because he kept claiming that he had no money to help me out. You know, he was getting speeding tickets, he was paying for the speeding tickets, he bought $1,000 rims for this Mustang that he owned. The heat would be up to 80 degrees, and he wasn't even there.
All right, so now, I got it.
I was on the lease, though. I'm entitled to turn my own heat up.
Just a second.
But he wasn't paying for it, Your
I
Honor.
got it. I understand the whole scenario. Now, my next question to both of you is clearly, according to you, October, November, and December of 1998. 98 is when you, in December is when you threw him out ultimately?
Yeah, it was a little after Christmas, maybe even after the first of the year.
Okay, and did he ever move back in?
No.
Why haven't you sued him for the amounts that you claim he owes you?
Well, initially, Your Honor, we got back together around Valentine's Day in 1999.
So you were back together?
Yes, we did. We never moved. He never moved back in. I still live there today.
But in February of 1999, you sort of got back together. How?
He invited me to dinner, bought me a couple dozen roses, and schmoozed his way back in like he always did.
All right. And how long did that schmoozing last?
On and off for about a year. We had a verbal agreement in between all this because he was upset about the furniture. He threatened to cut it up if he had to in order for him to get his half of it. And once we did get back together, we made a verbal agreement that I was to keep the furniture in my apartment because he hadn't helped me for those 3 months. And that was well and good for us.
Made that agreement.
And all of a sudden I get this lawsuit, and so I said, well, the heck with it. I'm going to just get my money that he owes me.
Okay. That's what I wanted to hear. So you were prepared to say, forget it.
Yes, I was.
On. Now, Mr. McMahon, I'm going to ask you the same question, sir. What took you so long to file this lawsuit?
We got engaged.
Yes.
She wanted me to move back in. I said, no, not until some issues are resolved.
And when did that engagement terminate?
On my birthday.
What date?
January 30th. I wasn't just going to jump into a lawsuit until I had some time to deal with what I was feeling.
You should have jumped into the lawsuit a year and a half ago.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right.
You're absolutely right. If you believe that she honestly owed you this money, half of a washer and dryer for $75 and a lot of furniture for $75.
It's not the money. It's got nothing to do with the money.
So what does it have to do with it?
Your Honor, we had a 3-bedroom apartment. Out of all 3, each bedroom had a closet. I had a quarter of one closet in the master bedroom.
So does my husband.
And I had 2.
And let me tell you, he's a happy man.
And I had 2 drawers. I had 2 drawers. I couldn't even put my clothes in there.
He has 2 drawers. Men are lucky if they have a quarter of a closet. They have 1 drawer.
And another thing.
Women need more drawers.
And another thing.
And more closet space.
Judge Judy continues and says ex-girlfriend Michelle McCartney won't return his furniture or his share of the deposit on their apartment.
Have you ever been married?
No.
That's a very good lesson I'm going to teach you. Don't expect more than a quarter of a closet. Right? If you expect more, never get married.
Okay, and another thing, January 30th, which was my birthday, which was one of the last big
more than
fights.
A quarter of a closet?
A quarter of a closet's ridiculous.
I've been married for 13 years.
Yeah.
I don't even have a quarter of a closet.
The whole apartment had her family all over the wall. I couldn't put I had no entity in there at all.
You mean you couldn't have a picture of your mother or your grandmother up?
The walls were full. I couldn't do nothing.
Mr. McMahon.
I'm serious. She took over the whole apartment.
Mr. McMahon.
I had no rights and nothing.
That's what ladies do. They make a nest.
We need. There should be a little bit of compromise.
Let me explain something to
you.
That's what happens. They make a nest, right?
What about me?
My husband knows he can decorate anything in his quarter of the closet.
I didn't get
Period.
I had to step over.
Don't move a lamp.
I had to step over shoes to get to my quarter of the closet.
Get over
her
it.
shoes. Listen
to me. Your lawsuit, Mr. McMahon, is nonsense, and so is your counterclaim. Nonsense. 2.5 years ago, you started a relationship. You moved into an apartment together. It didn't work out. Your entire investment was at most $425, which includes $150 for some old furniture and an old washer and dryer. How many times did you use the washer and dryer? I want you to think very carefully. How many times did you take clothes, like sheets and towels, from the bathroom and from the beds, take them, put them in the washing machine, wait till it was finished, take it out, put it in the dryer, and fold it up? How many times did you do that?
Plenty of times. If I wasn't being thrown out that week, I was doing laundry.
If you weren't being thrown, you were doing laundry?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I used to do her work clothes for her. Everything else.
He was doing the laundry?
Some.
He was doing the laundry?
Few and far between. I was mostly doing all of our laundry. But yes, it was used for his clothes, which he had.
I didn't ask you it was used for his clothes. I'm talking about sheets and towels and stripping the beds. And
oh, I did all that. I could hardly even get him to make the bed, never mind strip it.
I'm talking about stripping the beds and putting the sheets in and putting the sheets back on the bed. Who did that?
I did all that.
You did that?
Yeah.
Well, you were honest about the other thing. He did do his own work clothes. Who did the cleaning in the apartment?
I did everything. I did everything, Your Honor.
Like what? I mean, who scrubbed the bathroom floor? Who scrubbed the kitchen floor?
I did. I wouldn't even let him do the dishes because he would do them in a half-mannered way and they would be all greasy, so I'd have to redo them anyway. That was his lame excuse for not being able to do anything because he didn't know how.
It's called learned helplessness. You do it wrong so nobody asks you to do it again.
That's not
Mr.
true at all.
McMahon, Is it accurate that the housework was done by the defendant?
You know what? I didn't spend enough time in that apartment to clean anything. If you want the real
No,
deal.
you spent some time there, sir. According to you, you spent a couple of months there straight, and in addition to the couple of months there straight, 2 or 3 days a week when you were going to your own place. So you were there long enough to dirty the kitchen, dirty the bathroom, dirty the tub, dirty all those things.
If I dirtied something, I cleaned it.
That's that. I've heard that before. Mr. McMahon, your lawsuit is nonsense, and so is your counterclaim. They're both dismissed. Get over it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
One of us was obligated to continue paying that lease, and I did, and I have been paying it ever since. He paid 2 months, and he was on a lease for a
He
year.
wanted me to pay it while I was living in it.
Oh, well.
I didn't get treated fair in the relationship from Jump Street, and, you know, I got taken advantage of.
And now the next case.
All parties on Sias versus Graham. Step forward, please.
55-year-old Asian arts instructor Ted Sias is suing 19-year-old carpet installer William Graham for assaulting him while riding his bike.
According to your complaint, Mr. Sias, you were riding your bike to work. What kind of work do you do?
I teach internal health arts in Huntington Beach.
In a school?
Yes, ma'am.
And a car that was being driven by one of these 2 young men
Mr. Graham.
somehow passed by you, and he shouted something out the window, which made you angry.
It startled me. It scared
Startled
me.
you.
Yes.
So you got angry.
Yes.
And what you did in response was to ride your bike on an overpass where you were, and when you saw his car passing under the underpass, you picked up a rock and threw it at his car.
Yes, ma'am, but it was actually a pebble, and I brought the approximate size that I dropped.
Pebble, rock, you threw a something at his car.
Yes.
That made Mr. Graham very angry, right?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And you got off the expressway to find him,
Yes, ma'am.
because you saw him do it.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a confrontation. And that's what this lawsuit is about, because you said that during the course of that confrontation, Mr. Graham injured you and broke your bike.
Yes.
So let's start out. You're pedaling along, going to work. His car comes alongside you, and what does he say to you?
It wasn't him. It was his passenger that screamed at me.
What did his passenger say?
I don't know. It was just a holler, a very loud holler. I wasn't.
Which startled you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then what did you do?
Well, I about fell off my bike. Then I picked up this little pebble, and I was thinking about dropping it. And when they pulled around, then he gave me the birdie. That was it. That's all it took to send me the rest of the way. So I did drop it. I wasn't dropping the pebble to cause damage. I was dropping the pebble as more of an act of, you do this to me, I do this to you, but I wasn't striving for revenge. I lost my head.
Yeah, but he didn't do anything to you, sir, that involved any physical touching.
I think
His
it's
passenger
Yes, ma'am.
said something to startle you.
I think it's an accumulation of years of riding and getting people throwing things at me and hollering at me. I guess that one time I've been tired. I was riding my bike for 12 miles that day. I just lost it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You see the passenger?
Yes, he was, ma'am.
Did you do that? Up! Right there.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ted Sias says William Graham assaulted him while out riding his bike. William claims Ted threw a rock at his car.
What was the first thing that was said?
I asked him, ma'am, I said, why did you throw a rock in my car? He then got off his bike, and he says, well, you know, you screamed at me. And I'm like, who screamed at you?
Well,
you know,
it's clear he didn't scream at you. Just a minute. He didn't scream at you.
Yes, ma'am, he did.
Somebody else did. Go ahead.
It could have been possible that we had been goofing around, laughing, whatever, you know, the case may be in the car, what you do with people.
Whatever. Somebody in your car
Yeah.
scooped him. Right?
That must have happened somehow. It wasn't intentional.
Was he the passenger?
Yes, he was, ma'am.
Did you do that? Up! Right there. Right where the finger is. Did you do that to the bike rider?
I was...
No, look at me.
I'm sorry. I was singing in the car, yelling, having a good time, not yelling at anyone out of the car, intentionally.
Did you realize you had startled him?
No.
Now sit down. Go ahead.
Okay, so then he pushes me once. I push his hand down. I say, don't touch me again. He pushes me again, I push his hand down, and after I push his hand down the second time, he shove-kicked me to my groin area. And I didn't do anything. Then I was going to call the cops. He got on his bike like he was going to leave. And I said, where are you going? And he said, oh, I'm leaving now. like that, and he's like, "You're wasting my time." I said, "Yeah, thanks a lot. I just got my car painted. I just got my car painted," and he dropped the rock and chipped like on the roof of my car. And he says, "Well, now it just gives you something to do, doesn't it?" He gets back off his bike, pushes me one more time. I push his hand down again, and then he kicked me harder in the same exact area, the same type of kick in the groin. And at that time, I grabbed his leg. He went to swing at me, and I hit him in the head, and then I hit him a couple more times. He fell over his bike, which was right behind him. Once he was on the ground, I held him down. This is all in a position where I had a broken collarbone at the time because I was in an accident maybe a month before at the most, and I had a cast on my hand from torn ligaments. So I was really in no position to be starting a fight.
What kind of accident? Car accident?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Sayers, you want to tell me your version of the events, sir?
Basically, he's saying something to the effect of, "You're going to pay for it, you're going to pay for it, or you're going to apologize." I can't remember which one or both. And he kept trying to get closer to me, and I kept telling him to stay away. I said it numerous times. I did what's called a push kick towards his groin. It was not meant to cause any pain. He says, "What was that?"
But you did do that.
I did do that, yes, I did.
And he hadn't put his hands on you yet.
He was kept getting...
No. He had not put his hands on you.
No, ma'am, not yet. I did what I could, which was non-lethal. I pushed towards his face to make him lean back to go away. I pushed towards his groin.
He didn't kill you either, Mr. Sayers. That's not lethal.
If you look at the picture, you'll see it's probably lethal. My face doesn't look too pretty. I probably got a birthmark that'll last me the rest of my life. You want to...
Sure, I'll take a look.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That's not lethal. Nasty, but not lethal.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You don't say anything in your complaint, Mr. Sayers, about your putting your hands on the defendant first. He's a young man, and very often people say, well, young kids, you know, they're going to lose their temper and they're going to get out of control. I think that it happens with men when they reach maybe age 50. You're not 50 yet, are you?
Nowhere near.
I know, they do have as sometimes what you describe as road rage. You went to the top of an overpass, you picked up a pebble. You say it was a very small pebble. It may have been, but certainly enough. If that falls on your car fast enough and shatters your windshield, that can cause you to lose control of the car, and it can cause you to go into a tree, another car, another person. It can cause very serious damage, injury, and can cause death. And then when he confronted you, when he stopped the car, which was his absolute right because he had done nothing to you, his partner over here maybe was singing too loud, maybe he was trying to frighten you, maybe he was acting like a jerk, which is possible, because I'm looking at him, and it's possible. But he didn't do anything to you. When he confronted you, instead of apologizing, you put your hands on him first, twice. And it looks to me, at the end of the day, you got the worst of it.
Obviously.
That's too bad. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may...
38-year-old engineering company manager Patricia Bemisdorfer is suing her former live-in girlfriend, 39-year-old pharmacy technician Linda Bennett, for a false arrest and for vandalizing her Corvette.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 94 on the calendar in the matter of Bemisdorfer versus Bennett. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Bemisdorfer?
Yes.
According to your complaint, you and the defendant lived together for approximately 5 years. And you have children who were also living with you. Is that right?
Yes.
I believe that the thrust of your complaint is that there came a time that Ms. Bennett had you arrested for domestic violence.
Yes.
Those charges were subsequently dropped, and you want to be reimbursed for your legal fees.
Correct.
And in addition, you claim that during the time that you were either incarcerated or at the police station, she damaged one of your cars.
Correct.
Those are the two things that you're suing her for.
Correct.
So tell me, on what date did this incident occur that caused you to be arrested?
May 27th, 1999, at 1:50 a.m.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding the police being called to the house.
I went to work in the morning time, and I decided I wanted to move out, that I wanted to end the relationship. I called her up at lunchtime. I called her mother. I went to my house at lunchtime. Her mother came there. Her mother said that she can go live with her mother because I was the one paying the rent. She was not working. I was paying all the bills. She said she didn't want to leave. Her daughter didn't want to leave the house. Her mother said, all right, then, Linda, you live there. I'll help you pay the rent. So I said, okay, then I'm moving out.
Okay, hold on. Let's go slowly. Is it true, Ms. Bennett, that during the time that you were living together with the plaintiff and your children, that she was paying the rent on the house where you were living?
We shared the bills. We shared.
Were you working?
Yes, I was. I was working at a hospital. Yes.
Part-time.
It was part-time.
Part-time on and off.
Were the majority of the bills being paid by the plaintiff?
No, they were split.
Evenly?
Yes.
Okay. Then what happened?
So then I went back to work, and I told him when I get home from work, I'm moving my stuff out. I came home, I went to a friend's house and started making a room for me to live. I was going to live in a room. So I got home around 1:50 in the morning, and she opened the door for me. The door was locked, and my TV was gone. All the pictures on my walls were gone. Everything was gone. So then, after that, I went in the house and saw that. I ran up to my bedroom where I keep my jewelry and money and stuff like that, but she was in there with the door locked. So I kicked the door in to see what was gone. And then she called 911 and said I hit her and had a restraining order on me.
When you kicked the door in, she was in the bedroom?
She was in the bed.
And what happened after you kicked the door in?
She called 911.
Before there was any further confrontation between
No, I
the
said,
two
where's
of you?
my stuff? What did you do with all my things?
Okay, and what did she say?
Get out.
And what did you say?
Give me my stuff.
And what did she say?
She called 911 and I went outside and stood by my car waiting for the police to come.
So you were actually in the bedroom when she called the police?
Yes.
Okay, Miss Bennett. Now, had you in fact taken out any of those items? Pictures, TV, or whatever, any other items?
No.
No. Had you taken out anything from the living area, Miss Bennett? Make sure you tell me the truth, please.
There was, I don't remember, I can't remember what at that time.
Okay, so you can't remember.
No, it's
Then
not,
she came
there were
upstairs.
there were things in the house that were mine. There was a TV in there, there was the furniture that was in there, there were pictures that were in there, okay? The TV was mine.
So what did you do with the TV?
No, wait, I did remove the TV.
So what did you do with the TV?
It went to my daughter's house.
Okay, so the TV went out.
Right.
And some pictures went out.
There was one picture that went out. There was one.
So now you remember. So there, the TV and one picture went out.
And that was the extent of it. That was it.
What did you do with her things that were in the bedroom?
Oh, they were there. Everything was there. Everything. Her clothes were there. She didn't have hardly any jewelry.
So did she knock at the door of the bedroom?
I don't remember if she knocked on the door. She did. She said, "Let me in. I want to come in." She was drunk. And I've had past experiences where I've been afraid of her. So I kept me and Gina, my daughter, in the room, and we stayed in the bed. And she did say, "I want to come in." And I said, "No, I was afraid." So my daughter was laying there with me saying, "Mommy, don't let her in." I said, "Okay, I won't let her in." All of a sudden, she goes to bust down the door. She's banging at the door. She comes in. I went to pick up the phone to call 911. She came over to the phone, ripped the phone out of the wall. I got up. I ran down the steps to use the kitchen phone. She ripped that phone out of the wall, backed me up into the dining room, and said to me, "Where is my stuff?" And
So what
I
did
had
you say to her?
I don't remember exactly what I had said. She punched me right in the face, square in the face on the left-hand side. I must have hit 911 because the cops did come. My daughter's standing on the steps of the landing, going from upstairs to downstairs. I screamed to her. I said, "Gina, go next door, call 911," because I didn't think I hit 911. I said, no, I don't want to leave you. I don't want to leave your side. And I said, "Go next door." But I did hit 911. The cops did come. And she did. She waited outside. She was drunk. Waited outside by her car.
Okay, let me see the police report, please. Thank you, Bert. Did you pull the phones off the wall?
Yes, I did.
Okay, because that's what the officer said. You left that out.
Yes, I did. Because I didn't want her to call 911. I wasn't
Just a
trying to
second.
hurt her. I just wanted my things.
That's not one phone, two phones you pulled off the wall. One upstairs in the bedroom, one downstairs.
Correct.
Now, let me hear about this car, because that's the second.
Okay, I had, on May 27th, the police came, like I said, at 1:50, and they would not let me back to my home.
Had you been drinking?
Yes, I was moving some things out of a person's bedroom so I could make room for myself, and we were
So
drinking
you
while we
had
were-
been drinking?
A couple beers.
Okay.
I had some beers.
Okay. Go ahead.
And So they came to the house at 1:50 in the morning, and he would not let me back at my house that night to get my car. I have a
Well, you couldn't drive anyway. You had been drinking.
I have a 91 Camaro, and I have an 88 Corvette. The 91 Camaro she drove, and I drove the Corvette. I came back to pick up my cars with some friends of mine at 7:30 in the morning on my way to work, and my Corvette was totally scratched and 5 pounds of sugar in a gas tank.
Did you notify the police that someone had vandalized?
I called the Berlin Township Police. That's not where we live, and they said if you didn't see or do it, there's no sense in us writing a report. But I mean, it was fine at 1:50 when I left it. 7:30 in the morning it was total.
When had you last driven it?
I drove it right there to the house.
You mean you drove the car after you had been drinking?
Right.
Not smart.
Judge Judy continues. Asha Bemisdorfer says ex-girlfriend Linda Bennett had her falsely arrested and put 5 pounds of sugar in the gas tank of her Corvette.
Did you do anything to her car?
I didn't touch that girl's car. And the thing, you know,
There's police at the house.
Just a minute. Go ahead.
The thing is that in the morning she came and she drove that car away. She's saying somebody vandalized that car during that time period. She drove it away. We had a car, we had a 91 Camaro, it was in her name. That was a gift to me. It was in her name, that was a gift to me. She let me use that car. She did take it away that morning. Her and her niece came and did take the car away. They both, her niece drove the Camaro away, she drove the Corvette away. Okay? That's another thing, she drove it away.
When did the car break down?
After I went to lunch, takes sugar a little while to get through the engine of the car. It doesn't break down. It was 7:30 in the morning. I couldn't see the scratches. I went to lunch, and on my way back to work from lunch, it broke down. The car would not run. I had to have AAA tow it to the garage, and they said there was 5 pounds of sugar in it. Not even 2 pounds, 5 pounds. And the white car I let her use after we broke up. I still let her use the Camaro because I felt bad because she has a child. And I get a warrant for my arrest because she has a parking ticket in my name and never even told me about it and never paid it. So I went and took the white car back from her just 2 or 3 months ago. That I still, even after she did this to me, I still let her use my white car because I have the vet. And then I get warrants for my arrest.
The ticket was a parking ticket in Camden. She called me at my job telling me she had a warrant. I immediately went to Camden and paid the ticket. I paid the ticket.
So she did let you keep one of the cars?
Yes,
she
very nice
let me.
to her.
Yeah, that's what it was, a gift to me.
It's a gift to you, but it was in her name. You don't
Right,
make
you're
a
right.
gift to somebody and keep it
Okay.
in your name. She still let you use the car even after all of this stuff happened.
Oh, yeah. And she until March 19th, she did come at 6 o'clock in the morning and take the car. Yes, she did.
Can you tell me what happened with the restraining order in the assault case that was filed?
What happened?
Yeah.
I placed a restraining order again. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't. And then I thought about my daughter. She was crying. She was at the police station with me, sitting here right next to me. I don't want her to come back. The cops were saying if she don't put a restraining order, she can come back, do whatever she has to do or wants to do. So I said, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. And then she did stay away from me for a couple of days, and then we started to talk, going back and forth, talking to each other, being civil. And yes, I did drop it because I thought I did. I did drop it.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
If she's so afraid, if I had a 6-year-old child and I knew my child, you're so afraid of me, I would have moved out a long time ago. There was never a complaint. I've never touched her, and I didn't touch her that day. If you're so fearful of me, you should have moved out a long time ago if I'm so mean to you.
Don't talk to her.
I
Let
never
us
laid my
assume-
hands on her.
Let's eliminate from this mix the punch in the face. Okay? Let's eliminate that. You came home at 1:30 in the morning. You had been drinking. You came into your house and you found a television missing and at least one picture missing. And you had been living together as a family for 5 years. Right?
Right.
So you were angry. You went up to the bedroom where all your stuff was. Clothes, jewelry, personal effects, everything else. You can understand her coming in and being a little miffed that the home that you had shared together was, being taken apart without her permission, and she had all of her valuables in the room. That doesn't give you license to bust down the door, and it certainly doesn't give you license to pull the phones out of the walls, because that in itself, even without the punch, is sufficient basis for her to have called the police and say, there is potential violence going on here. So I think that there was a basis for her to call the police, and the fact that you retained an attorney within a relatively short period of time, I see, because she ultimately dropped the charges at the beginning of June?
She dropped the charges at the trial. She dismissed the charges after making us sit in the courthouse for 5 hours because she thought I was paying my lawyer by the hour and wanted me to sit there as long as I could.
Okay. She had a basis for calling the police. It was not done out of malice. It was done out of the heat of the moment, so that I cannot give you money to reimburse you for attorney's fees. You lost your temper. You lost your cool at that moment, and maybe it was the beers talking, but you certainly lost it. And having lost it, she reacted by calling the police, which was probably the wise thing to do. The fact that she ultimately dismissed the charges doesn't mean she didn't have a basis at the time that she made the call to have made the call. Now let's talk about the Corvette. The police told you that they couldn't take the report because you needed more than what you had to legally point the finger at the defendant for damaging your car. While the burden of proof in a criminal case is far greater than in a civil case, you still need some connection. And the only connection that you have is that she was very angry and your car was there during that period of time.
5 hour time.
It's an insufficient nexus for me to find that she, in fact, did it. That's not saying you didn't do it. I'm just telling you. That's not saying you didn't do it because you were angry.
I have a witness to say that I didn't.
Oh, I'd like to hear that. That would be nice. It would make me feel better. Let me hear your witness.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your Honor, I asked her what her relationship is. She didn't even know this man. She never even knew him. 6 years I lived with her. I never even met this man. That's her boyfriend now. It's a lie.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Patricia Bemisdorfer says ex-girlfriend Linda Bennett had her falsely arrested and put 5 pounds of sugar in the gas tank of her Corvette.
Who are you?
My name's Jeff. I was a friend of hers.
Were you there that evening?
I was there after.
After
she
what?
had called me after all this had happened.
Approximately what time?
I guess it was around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. And did you go over to her house?
Yes, I did.
What happened when you got there?
She was just crying, upset. I just tried to comfort her, let her know that everything would be okay. And I stayed downstairs. She didn't even leave the upstairs. So I don't know how she would have been able to tamper with the car.
Your Honor, I asked her what her relationship is. She didn't even know this man at the time. That's her boyfriend now. She never even knew him. 6 years I lived with her. I never even met this man. That's her boyfriend now. It's a lie.
Well,
we never knew that gentleman. She didn't call him. She never even heard of his name in his life till after she just met him a couple months ago, and they live in my home together now.
We were friends. I'd known her for about 3-4 months.
Okay. But there was still a period of time where she had an opportunity before you got there, if she wanted to put sugar in this gas tank.
I suppose.
She understands that. As I said, I don't know whether you did it or you didn't do it, but I know that the plaintiff, unfortunately, needs more than just the opportunity and inclination that you had to prove a case in court. Have you had nothing to do with each other in the last year?
No, Your Honor, I do. She still will not give me anything I own. All my personal things, it still will not give me.
But you're not suing for any of those things.
Correct.
So I know that you're very angry, so let's see if we can perhaps resolve this relationship and finally put a period to it. Okay, what else do you have there?
I have gym equipment, about $1,500 worth of gym equipment that I never was able to have.
Okay.
I have
Shh. Do you have her gym equipment?
It's my gym equipment. It's my, Your Honor, it's mine.
It was a gift.
Just a second. Shh. Who purchased it? Who bought it? Who spent the money for it?
I did.
Did you, in fact, buy it for her?
No.
You bought it for you?
It's mine. I bought it.
Well, that's what you say.
Yes.
You bought it for you?
For myself.
It was my Christmas present from her to me.
I want to tell you something. I believe you.
She's making up everything.
Listen to me. Listen to me. I believe you. I do.
Okay.
I have a...
Shh. What else does she have there that...
She has boxes of my personal things. I have a sister that died in a car accident. It's a hairbrush with her hair in it. I can't even have that. My dad's wild's deceased. She won't give me that. I mean, just personal boxes of all kind of stuff. I have a swimming pool there.
What kind of swimming pool?
It's a above ground 12-foot by 36-foot swimming pool.
What are you going to do with it?
Put it in my friend's yard where I live now. It's mine. She's saying she paid half of everything. Make her show you her W-2s.
I'm not... Listen, you're not suing for these things, madam, so what I'm trying to do is make you feel more comfortable if I can before you leave. So let me tell you something. I only believe a portion of what you tell me, Miss Bennett.
Okay.
So you would be very, very wise if you want to get on with your life and not have this lady permanently feeling angry that you have not done the right thing. When she, it seems to me, has, at least in part. She let you use a car. You needed it for your daughter to take her to school, even after you had her arrested. She didn't come and take the car until she got a warrant. So she's not a bad person. So she wants certain things from the house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, do you have boxes of her things?
There isn't anything there. When she took everything out of the home, when I walked, I had left the home for 3 or 4 hours. When I walked into the home, I was left with a love seat. That's all I had.
The problem was, Your Honor, we were going to try to get back together. I had another place. We were going to work things out, try to get back together. I just needed the living room set to sit on, so I left my other stuff there.
Okay,
It
well,
didn't
that
work.
clearly that didn't happen.
It didn't happen, and after she found out it wasn't going to happen because I met this girl and I moved in with her, she decided she's not giving me anything now.
Put a period. It's over.
And she has everything I ever worked for and ever owned.
Unfortunately, A, your lawsuit sought redress for 2 things. For your lawyer's fees and for damage done to the Corvette, not for all these other things. So I was merely addressing those things in an attempt to make things nice so that you could move on. I see I can't. She had just causes. I indicated to call the police. That part of your lawsuit has to be dismissed, and there is insufficient proof, even though I have my reservations about it, but there is insufficient legal proof that she actually caused damage to your car, so your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge-year-old property manager Amy Mussolino is suing ex-boyfriend, 39-year-old health service manager Joseph Vietz, for his share of their daughter's orthodontist and therapy bills.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, this is case number 147 on the calendar in the matter of Mussolino versus Vietz. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Miss Mussolino, you and the defendant had a relationship back in the early 1990s, and that relationship produced a child, Kelly, who is now 8 years old, according to your complaint. You state that the defendant is under a court order to pay 1/2 of any unreimbursed medical bills for the child, and that he has not done so, especially with regard to the child's therapy.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Vietz, your defense is that you're not consulted, that you feel as if the child is over-medicated, but primarily your complaint is that nobody asks you anything, just asks you to write a check.
That's a lot of it.
Well, you'll tell me what the rest is in a minute. Can I see a copy of the court order, please?
Yes, ma'am. These are actually 2 court orders.
Thank you. Okay. First of all, I assume, Mr. Vietz, that you petitioned the court for a transfer of custody to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And the resulting order indicates that there would be no transfer of custody to you, sir, but the court did, in fact, grant you extended visitation with the child.
Correct.
And that the court also found that there was sufficient evidence to find that you had interfered with Mr. Vietz's visitation with the child and issued you a warning.
Yes, ma'am.
The court also, in that order, clearly states that the therapist who had been treating the child was to continue as her therapist, and that the 2 of you were to cooperate with that therapy. So what's the problem, Mr. Vietz? Have you, in fact, paid the unreimbursed bills for therapy for the child?
No, ma'am, I have not.
So the onus now is upon you to convince me why this order should not, and I'm not acting as an appellate court, but unless there is something outrageous.
There is.
Well, then, I'll hear you.
Okay, thank you. Well, first, Your Honor, I need to make clear to you that I was not made aware of any outstanding bills whatsoever until I received a summons regarding those bills on May 16th, at which time I requested a bill of particulars. First off, I'm disputing $600 of orthodontist bills in the bill of particulars. Ms. Mussolino took it upon herself to select an orthodontist not covered by my good insurance. There are several available in our area. Instead of commuting 60 or 70 miles away to Richmond to one that's not covered by my insurance, she could have gone to Hampton, Newport News.
Okay. Is anything that you're suing for here about orthodontic bills? Or is it all about therapy bills?
It's I have a listing.
Let me see
if
it.
you would like it.
I thought it was all therapy bills. That's what she
No,
talks about, therapy bills. Okay. What's the Medical College of Virginia?
That is for orthodontists.
What did she start orthodontia for at her age?
She actually has a problem with her tongue. She has a tongue thrust problem.
She's a tongue thruster.
Right. And she not only may need braces, but she may need an appliance, which is called a tongue crib. They've actually are deciding that currently.
Why did you select the Medical College of Virginia for her treatment?
Specifically because the total price was $1,800, and the orthodontist who is covered under her insurance, which her father does provide, is $3,200.
But the $3,200 would or would not have been covered under his insurance?
No, that would be the portion which we would have to pay.
Okay. So if your complaint is, sir, that she chose somebody that wasn't covered by your insurance, that's a reasonable explanation, that she went to the Medical College of Virginia, listen to me, because it would ultimately be cheaper for both of you.
Do I have some proof of that, or is that just hearsay? If Ms. Mussolino would communicate with me so we could work things out for the betterment of our child and the bills that we have to split, perhaps we could make some progress here.
I believe her, because it would not be in her best interest, because she has to pay 50% too, to choose somebody that was more expensive rather than less expensive, right? Doesn't make sense.
Unless you have valuable assets such as 8 years experience and friendship with a practicing orthodontist that may give you a break on the side, Your Honor.
Don't give me a break on, listen
if
to
given
me.
the opportunity.
Listen, don't give me a break on the side. Everybody saved money. If all this orthodontia is going to cost us, according to her, $900 ultimately, because the total price is $1,800, trust me, you're getting away with murder. Let's hear the rest of your complaint.
All right, Your Honor. There's also on her list of bill of particulars, you'll see a $300 bill. It was on 5/5/99. That was for the doctor to be a witness on Amy's behalf in court back in '99.
Now, is that the Psychiatric Services of Virginia? Pay attention to me. You bill him $1,155.
Yes.
Does that include $300 for a court appearance that the doctor made to testify on your behalf?
Yes, it was a court appearance. No, it was not on my behalf. She was coming as our daughter's therapist to speak about our daughter.
That's not included in the judge's order. He's absolutely correct. So I'm eliminating $300. So that brings us down to $902. What else, sir?
Your Honor, on that same sheet of paper highlighted in pink at the top and the bottom of the page, you'll see 2 bills for $50, I believe, each for family psychotherapy. The others listed I did not highlight as individual psychotherapy for my daughter, and I'm not disputing that. I'm the one that originally sought out help for my child once I learned of the trauma she had experienced.
Actually, what he's discussing, his wife took her to in July of '99. He has visitation for the entire month of July. So she did, I believe, go in and participate with therapy.
That's not correct.
Well, one of them is in July of 1999. According to the order, you have visitation all of July. Did you take the child for therapy?
When she was staying with us in July, I did have to take her one time.
You did take her? And did you speak to the therapist?
I did when they were done.
She charged you?
For talking to her after she
Yes.
saw the patient.
No.
I didn't know any idea that she did. This is the first time.
Well, she did. But that, Mr. Vietz, is covered by the order, because it says that the petitioner and respondent, the two of you, are to continue to cooperate fully.
If this is family psychotherapy, Your Honor, the last time I checked, I am the father of this child. I'm family.
You should have taken her.
I'm not
Why-
allowed to. There's
No,
no,
no, no,
communication. She will...
Listen to me.
Yes.
Child was with you during July of 1999. Instead of you taking the child to the therapist, you had your wife take the child to the therapist. You should have taken the child to the therapist if you wanted to be involved.
The original appointment that I was going to take her to was rescheduled. I was not available for the next
That's not
one.
her fault.
I would
Do
like
you understand what I'm saying? If something else was more important or something else more pressing, you permitted your wife to take her. If it was rescheduled and if it was not a good day for you, you should have told the doctor, I'm not available on that day and I would really like to come in to see you. Instead, you let your wife take her. Forget it.
Judge Judy continues. Amy Mussolino says ex-boyfriend Joseph Vietz owes her for his share of their daughter's medical bills. Joseph says Amy won't consult him regarding their daughter.
Okay, what's next?
Well, Your Honor, actually, this whole case...
Just a minute, I want to know if that's it with regard to money.
I'm disputing the entire thing.
Well, you can't dispute the entire thing. The entire thing is covered by a 1999 order, Mr. Vietz.
That is supposed to fully comply, fully involve both of us, which she will not do. The order says fully.
Just a second. When was the last time you personally contacted Dr.
The last time I contacted her was the time that she told me she can give me no information whatsoever concerning my child because I'm the non-custodial parent, and that I was wasting my time, is what she had told me.
Was that before or after she appeared in court?
The same time, a day or two around the same time.
And you had a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Then if you had a lawyer, sir, your lawyer was obligated. This is what you wanted. You wanted to have total access to the child's medical, dental, and school records. That's something that is dealt with all the time in court. Either your lawyer raised that issue before the court, and the court said no, which is bizarre, or your lawyer didn't raise the issue, in which case he or she was remiss in not raising that issue, and you still have an opportunity to go back and have that issue resolved.
And I will.
And you can. So, Ms. Mussolino.
Yes.
One of the things that he is complaining about is that he's not consulted. Now, that may not be an easy thing to do because he may be resistant when you try to consult with him. But if what he is requesting is that he have access to the child's school records and medical and dental records and open communication with the child's therapist, that's a very easy thing for you to resolve even without going back to court. And then, if he doesn't avail himself of picking up the telephone and calling, that's his problem.
He's never discussed it with me.
Well, now we're discussing it. Listen, I'm trying to resolve this issue. $902 is what he owes. What I'm asking you is, are you prepared to enter into a stipulation with Mr. Vietz that permits him the same access that you have to all of the child's records?
That's fine with me.
Fine. That's what she says.
That's
fine. So, sit down, do it today, right outside. It's a very simple order.
That's wonderful.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $902.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Parties are excused. Step out.
Cool. All this woman did was birth my child and bill me for everything.
This is the first time in 6 years which I've sought any money for anything.
And now the next case.
All parties on Goldsmith versus Red. Step forward, please.
39-year-old steelworker Richard Goldsmith is suing his ex-girlfriend, 29-year-old student Sean Red, for an unpaid loan to buy a house.
Mr. Goldsmith, according to your complaint, sir, you and the defendant dated for a while and lived together for a short while. She was purchasing a home, and when it came time to close, she was missing some money, about $4,000. Is that right?
Correct.
Correct.
And you loaned her $4,000.
Yes, I did.
You lived together with her in the home for a couple of months with an arrangement that you would pay her $500 a month for your share of the rent, utilities, whatever. You did not pay her that while you were together.
Right.
So you knocked off $1,000 from the loan. Then you separated, and she made one payment to you. You want the remainder, which is $3,000 less $80. It's your position that this was never a loan. Is that right?
Correct.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding you giving her the money.
Well, we both had an agreement to where she paid me $80 every...
Now tell me the circumstances surrounding her telling you that she needed the money.
She was short $4,000.
Let's start out.
Okay.
She was buying a house. There came a time when she needed some extra money.
Correct.
You were sitting in the living room. You were sitting in the bedroom. You were driving in the car. Where were you when you had this discussion?
My living room, in my apartment.
Were you living together in your apartment?
Yes, we were.
How long had you been living together?
2 months.
Is that right?
Approximately 2 or 3.
Were you paying rent while you were living in his apartment?
I paid rent. I paid other bills for him. I did grocery shopping.
No, that's
Yes, I paid rent.
How much rent did you pay? Is not an answer.
It varied.
No, if it varies, you don't vary with rent. Were you paying rent?
Yes, I was.
How much rent were you paying?
$250.
That's not true. That's a good made-up answer, but it's
Right.
not true.
Right.
Of course it's true.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're sitting in your living room. She said to you, I'm supposed to close my house and I'm short $4,000. You said to her, that's what I want to hear, sir. I don't want to
I
hear
said,
about this.
okay, I will lend you $4,000.
Oh, you mean I just guessed it right off the top?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Richard Goldsmith says ex-girlfriend Sean Red owes him for a loan for the down payment on a home. Sean says Richard has threatened to burn the house down.
Okay. Let's not play with me, all right? Let's do this quickly, efficiently, with honest answers. All right, so you're sitting in your living room in the house where you had been living rent-free, according to you, 3 months. And?
And we had an agreement to where if she borrowed $4,000, she would pay me $80.
Not an agreement. I don't want to hear agreement. I want to hear what she said to you and what you said to her.
She said she'd promised to pay me $80 every 2 weeks.
Are we missing each other?
What do you need to know?
I want to know how she told you she needed the money.
For a house payment, $4,000 short.
Are you his interpreter? I mean, I think he needs an interpreter. You're sitting in your living room.
Correct.
She said to you, honey, I have a problem. I'm supposed to close my house and I'm short $4,000. And you said to her, that's what I want to hear, sir. I don't want to hear about this.
I said, okay, I will lend you $4,000.
Oh, you mean I just guessed it right off the top? Oh, they don't pay me enough for this job.
Sure.
You're right. Okay. Did he give you the $4,000?
Yes, he gave me $4,000.
In check or cash?
I think it was cash.
It was check.
Was
Right,
it
I have the check right.
Let me see. Okay. And when you gave her the check, she agreed to pay you back.
Correct.
Tell me about the $80 that she paid you.
I went to her house and told her that I'd appreciate it if she'd come over and pay off some of her debt. So then very next day, she'd come over. My roommate, Chucky, answered the door. She handed me 4 20s. I said, hold on, I'll get you a receipt. And she flipped me off and walked to her car and left. She said, I don't want no damn receipt.
So, let's hear you.
Richard and I dated for a while. He did lend me the money after he had conveniently cleaned out my bank account and I no longer had the money for my
How did
mortgage.
you clean out your bank account?
I lent him money for all kinds of things.
Give me an example.
I paid to have his motorcycle fixed. I paid to have it fixed twice, as a matter of fact. I paid bills for Richard.
When she did pay for my motorcycle, I did pay her back.
Okay. So far, I haven't heard about any loans. So far, I just heard about what you paid for.
Well, because a relationship is give and take. He needed money, I gave it to him. I needed money, he gave it to me. After we broke up and he wasn't around the house anymore, he continuously harassed me.
I'm not interested in that. If you didn't want him to harass you, you got to pay him back his money.
He wasn't harassing me for money, Your Honor. He never mentioned money until he got in trouble with the law and needed some money to pay whoever.
Well, now he's here.
I understand that, Your Honor. He harassed me constantly. He harassed my sister. He came to my house one time, told me that if I didn't open the door, he was going to burn the house down with me and my children in it.
That is such a lie.
It is not, Richard.
What difference does it make?
I come knocking out.
What difference does it make?
How was I supposed to pay him back when I had to quit my job because he would not leave me alone?
Why does one quit their job because someone doesn't leave them alone?
I was a bartender, Your Honor. You can't have a man coming in there constantly leaning over a bar screaming at you.
One time.
No, not one time, Richard.
One time.
So, how did you support yourself?
I just do. I've been doing odd jobs. I'm going to school.
Going to school doesn't usually pay you a salary.
Well, but eventually in the end it will.
Oy.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Okay. Now, the right thing to do is to return his money to him. I mean,
Then
if
he should return the money that he borrowed from me.
I don't have any evidence, madam, that he borrowed any money from you. You didn't have an arrangement with him. You paid for some groceries, but it didn't work out. And if it doesn't work out, you got to pay him back his money. Bird, I have a sense that there's a lot more here than I'm going to get out of this case.
Probably so.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,920, giving you credit for the $80 that you paid him, and $1,000 for your rent. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
18-year-old stockboy Michael Debris is suing former friend, 18-year-old network administrator Keith Kimmel, for damaging his car by kicking it. Keith says his life was threatened and is countersuing for emotional distress.
Order. All rise.
This is case number 175 on the calendar in the matter of Debris versus Kimmel. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Debris, the defendant was a friend of yours or an acquaintance?
Yeah.
Try yes.
Yes.
And you were driving your car,
Yes.
and the defendant was in your car.
Yes.
And there was someone else in your car.
Yes.
Who was that?
Corey.
And you and Corey decided to play a little joke on Mr. Kimmel.
Yes.
So tell me what you said to Mr. Kimmel.
I told him that I said, go get all your money out of your ATM. And I said, I've already left 2 friends out in the country. I'm going to take you out there.
Your Honor, may I add that that was at gunpoint?
Okay. So at gunpoint
Yes.
was something that appeared to be a gun.
Yes, it actually turned out to be a BB gun on
Okay, but
inspection
it
to the
appeared
state
to be a
police.
gun to you.
Yes, it did, Your Honor.
The plaintiff told you that he was taking you to go and so that you could take all of your money out of your ATM.
Right, and may I excuse the profound language that Mr. Debris used, but I will kill you with my friends.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, and you at that point were afraid.
Yes, I was.
At some point, the defendant managed to get out of the car and, according to you, went ballistic and kicked and punched and pummeled your car. So you are suing him for damage to your car.
Right.
And you, Mr. Kimmel, are counterclaiming for a
Right.
variety of things, the loss of your cell phone and your eyeglasses,
Yes,
and
sir.
also for emotional distress. Correct?
That is correct. I have a detailed listing of the damages should you need them.
And I will. Mr. Debris, after you told him that you were going to take him out to the country,
Right, which was not at gunpoint.
but there was a BB gun in the car.
Right.
Just to answer my question, there was a BB gun in the car.
Yes, there was.
Your Honor, that's a lie.
Shum. Don't need help. What did he do, sir?
He got out of the car and he went and got his money.
Well, did he struggle with you at all at that point? Are you chewing gum?
No.
Are you chewing gum?
Yeah. I swallowed it.
Okay. How much money did you take out, Mr. Kimmel?
I took out $90 since it only allows withdrawals in the increments of $10.
And you got back into the car?
Yes, and he also requested that I get a balance inquiry sheet to make sure that I had successfully cleaned the entire account.
And what was the next thing that happened after you drove off?
There's a highway that you can use to get to the movie theaters, because that was our destination. Before and after the joke was played, that was our destination to go see a movie.
Did anything happen in the car while you were on the highway?
No.
Did Mr. Kimmel begin to struggle at all in the car?
Not until we got about halfway there, and then he freaked out. He was talking about all sorts of odd things, and then he started to choke me.
So he leaned from the back. What kind of odd things, by the way?
He was talking about people being dead and KKK members and all sorts of other odd, strange things.
Okay.
Shh.
At that point, when he started talking strangely, and listen to my question very carefully, Mr. Debris, did you say to him, come on, this is all a big joke, you know, we weren't serious? Did you say that to him?
No.
Subsequent to that conversation that he had with you, where he was talking strangely, you said he went ballistic from the back seat and started to choke you, and you were driving.
Yes.
Did that cause you to stop the car?
Yes.
And when you stopped the car, what happened?
We wrestled for, Corey got out of the car, and right at that moment we were like, this is a joke, man. It was just a joke. We're actually going to the movie theater. And Corey got out and he was yelling it at him. And then Corey didn't know what to do, so he started to flag down traffic to call for help.
Why was he calling for help?
Because he was choking me and he wasn't letting up at all. Even after we had made it blatantly clear that it was a joke.
So you said to him, I'm sorry, it's a joke, it's a joke, it's a joke.
Yes.
Okay, and what did he do when he got out of the car to your car?
He put dents in the right-hand side. He broke the right-hand tail light. He also kicked my door in the windshield and put another dent on my front fender. And then we wrestled for a minute.
Just a minute.
Oh.
And this was after you had said to him, this was all a joke?
Yes, after I'd made it clear several times.
How long was it in minutes from the time you all got into the car and you said to him, you're going to the ATM to take out all your money and whatever else you said to him until the time he got out of the car and started to kick your car? How many minutes?
About 15.
So is it a fair statement, Mr. Dupree, for about 15 minutes, Mr. Kimmel was laboring under the assumption that you intended to do him bodily harm?
No. Because...
Was it 15 minutes, Mr. Dupree?
Yeah, yes, it was 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
But I had never told him, and I didn't once, that I was going to kill him or do him any bodily harm.
You told him you were taking him to the country?
Yeah.
But you just told me, Mr. Dupree, that it wasn't your intention when you all got into the car to go to the country. It was your intention to go to the movies. That was what you were doing. So you told him, in effect, we're not going to the movies. I'm taking you out to the country.
Yes.
Right?
The highway leads. We took the back ways to the movie theater.
I'm taking you to the country. And when he took out the money, you did not say to him at that moment, don't be ridiculous, this was all a joke. You did not say that.
No, it wasn't part of the joke. The punchline came when we got to the movie theater.
All right. So, 15 minutes in your car, under the assumption that he had just been the victim of a robbery by extortion, and that it was your intention to take him to the country to hurt him. That was his assumption for that 15-minute period.
Correct.
Good. And how much did it cost to have your car fixed?
The estimate for my car for damages was $1,875.34.
I hope you have the money. Now let's get to the counterclaim. Let's talk about the physical property, sir, that was damaged as a result of this practical joke gone awry.
Yes, he is correct that I did choke him. At the time, I was a little less concerned with his neck and more concerned with my personal safety.
You choked him, that's his
exactly.
problem. Go ahead. Behaved like an idiot. That's not something that you do as a practical joke.
Judge Judy continues, and Dupree says former friend Keith Kimmel damaged his car when he kicked it. Keith says Michael took him hostage at gunpoint.
Go ahead.
He had eventually broken free of that grip in the car, and he did indeed tell me that it was a joke, but I wasn't believing too much that he said at this point. If we had the gun here in evidence, you would see that it looks extremely real.
How large a gun was it?
It was a handgun. It appeared to be a large gun and capable of doing damage.
But this was at night?
Yes, it was, around 8 p.m., dusk.
Tell me about the damage to your property, sir.
We have the exhibits that I have of things that were damaged is what's left of my cell phone after he flung it into traffic. It was run over by an 18-wheeler.
He used his cell phone to break my windshield, and then he says, well, I guess I don't need this anymore. And then he threw it out the window.
How much was your cell phone, sir?
The cell phone, I have an estimate from Radio Shack in the amount of $277.40.
$277. What other physical property was destroyed?
Well, my eyeglasses, which are on here, which I had to rig in order to use between the time of the incident and the case. The estimate there, they said, was in the neighborhood of $400, and they didn't have anything written out.
Let me see the glasses.
If you also notice, the lenses are scratched from hitting the highway several times after they were flung off my face and then stepped on, during the scuffle.
Well, how much did you pay for these glasses, sir?
I paid $410, and my insurance only provides coverage for glasses every 3 years in the amount of $400.
Oh, okay. Would you return these, please, to Mr. Kimmel? What else, sir?
Thank you, sir. I have the cellular telephone accessory, which is a belt clip, and that was attached to the
let's
back.
go. Come on.
And of course, the $90 that he forced me to withdraw from my ATM, which I have not recovered.
Where was it?
In his pocket.
The cop, when we explained to the cop that this was a practical joke, the cop pulled it out of my pocket, and I've not seen it since.
Well, I called all the state police jurisdictions.
So you don't have your money back?
That's correct. I have the $500 for lost productivity in my home-based business. I'm a web consultant. As part of my contract, I guarantee my work to be done on time. If it's not done on time, I give them a $250 credit.
Mr. Kimmel, you have $777 in losses from your personal property. Now, I have a couple of other questions to ask you, sir. There was a 15-minute period there till the time. I assume that at some point you recognized that you were safe, right, when the police arrived?
That's at the time that I recognized, yes.
Okay. And I'd like you to tell me, sir, what was going through your mind during that period of time?
Well, when he referred to me talking weirdly, that he was trying to hint at the fact that he said, well, I won't be the one doing the killing. I have a couple friends that will be doing that, and the trunk is full of KKK uniforms. He had mentioned that he may have killed a couple of other friends, which I had no way of verifying, and I didn't know, but that right there...
How long did you know him?
I've met him probably 4 or 5 times over a period of about 2 months, so I thought that he could, be trusted at least to...
Go to the movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the movies.
Well, going through my mind, I was very concerned for my safety.
You are suing on your countersuit
the
plaintiff for $2,500.
That's correct.
You have $777 worth of damages for personality.
Right.
Your lawsuit seeks the rest really for emotional distress and lost wages.
That's correct. Like I said, I have a detailed listing for your...
I don't need a detailed anything, sir. Your emotional distress is worth the remainder. Mr. Dubree, when you cause someone to fear for their life as a result of a practical joke, you have to accept all of the responsibility for what happens. You set in motion a chain of events by your stupidity which caused your car to be damaged and caused the defendant to suffer, whether it was 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes or a half hour, fear that he was going to die. You got to pay for that. Judgment on the counterclaim in the amount of $2,500 as requested. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may step out.
I thought she would have seen through his lies and his insanity, but I guess she didn't, so...
This must have popped into his mind as something that might have been humorous or somehow entertaining. I didn't find it very entertaining, unfortunately.
And now the next case.
All parties on Petzold versus Gilmore. Step forward, please.
44-year-old assistant store manager Carrie Petzold is suing his ex-wife, 38-year-old waitress Margaret Gilmore, for the return of a necklace and 2 rings. Margaret says the only reason she has the jewelry is because Carrie threw them at her.
Mr. Petzold, the defendant is your former wife. When were you divorced, sir?
That was 6/28 of 99.
And according to your complaint, there came a time when you went to her house.
That's correct.
And you were very angry.
Yes, I was.
And why did you go to her house when you were angry, sir?
We had
You have children together.
Yes, we did, 3.
And they were all at home?
2 of which I believe were home at the time.
Go ahead.
All 3 were there.
Went to the home because of verbal threats on the phone in regards to possessions that I had, threatening to take everything I had personally, even the clothes off my back.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I thought that would satisfy her for the time being. And I may have a day's arrest.
What did she want with your jewelry?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carrie Petzold says his ex-wife, Margaret Gilmore, won't return a necklace and 2 rings.
Who called you, sir, about this property?
She called in regards to property, real property in the home that...
Who remained in the home?
I did.
And she moved out?
Yes.
Did the children remain with you?
They went with their mother.
Where did you go?
I was left out of town. We'd had an argument out of town, Your Honor, and he had abandoned me and my son at the time, and our teenage daughter, the other one, Margaret, was at home at the time, and I had called her to let her know her father had a fight with me. He was on his way home for her to get out of the house. She tried to grab some belongings because we've done this numerous times over the 20 years of marriage, and my bedroom door was locked. She couldn't get any of my possessions. She took her stuff and clothes for her brother. 2 days later, I had a friend bring me back up to the high desert where we lived, and he had changed the locks and had the windows barred. I'd contacted the sheriff.
That's a lie, ma'am.
I had his various sheriffs.
You remained in the house. She and the children had to find other accommodations. Is that right, Mr. Pettles?
Correct.
And then there came a time when you got very angry sometime around March of 1999, and you went to the house. You took off all your jewelry, and you threw it at her while she was in bed. Is that right?
I threw it on the end of the bed, ma'am. I didn't throw it at her.
There was a restraining order in effect at that time, Your Honor.
You threw it on the bed while she was in the bed.
Correct.
And what did you say to her when you threw your jewelry on the bed? What did you say to her?
I said at that time, ma'am, there is my jewelry. Please leave me alone. I want nothing further to do with you at this point.
Now you want your jewelry back.
That's correct.
That's what this lawsuit is about.
Exactly.
Mr. Pettles, doesn't that sound foolish to you?
Yes, it does, but because of the situation and how ugly this situation got, Your Honor, is that I thought in my feeble mind at the time that would satisfy her for the time being, and I may have a day's arrest.
What did she want with your jewelry? Mr. Pettles, you were angry. What you were saying is, you want everything else from me, now you got everything, including the gold in my teeth. Here it is, take it, leave me alone.
Pretty much how I felt.
That's
yes,
what
Your
you were
Honor.
saying.
Yes,
all
Your
right?
Honor.
Now time has passed. Maybe things are a little bit calmer. Now you want your jewelry back. Right? You don't have a legal leg to stand on, Mr. Pettles. You understand that?
Correct.
You don't have a legal leg to stand on. So, Miss Gilmore.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm not finished. You have 3 children together?
Yes, that's correct.
What jewelry did he throw on the bed?
I have it with me today. It was the wedding band, the gold wedding band, a gold garnet ring I'd given him as a gift through the years, and a gold chain that was given to him as a gift.
Could I see it, please?
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Miss Gilmore, I have just told you that he has no legal basis to request this property back. He abandoned the property. He, in effect, gave it to you. He may have given it to you out of anger,
right,
but he gave it to you. So he has a prayer legally to get this back. You have 3 children together.
That's correct.
Right? You're still in school?
I'm in college.
And you have 2 other teenagers?
Correct, a 17-year-old daughter and a 16-year-old son.
Do you see your children?
No, I do not. Actually, my oldest daughter at this time, Your Honor, chooses not to see me. She has saw fit to demean me every which way she can.
No, you don't do that. Mr. Pettles, just listen, sir. When you have children who were little, I was in the family court for many years. When you have children who were little, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, you have the ability as the custodial parent to sometimes poison children so that they are fearful of a non-custodial parent. But when children are 16 and 17 and 19 and 20, the parents themselves have made their own bed. And it has nothing to do with what their custodial parent says to them. I guarantee you, if you have a 17-year-old who wants to see you, they're going to see you. What I'm telling you, Miss Gilmore, it is foolish of you, foolish, to keep this. Do you want to know why? He's angry at a variety of things, many of the things he probably caused himself.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we very rarely see that in ourselves. This sticks in his throat. You don't want that. Trust me. Will you trust me on this one?
I do trust you, Your
Will you
Honor.
trust me on this one? This stuff is of no value.
They're
to
just
you.
material things. That's all I've ever looked at it as.
Right, just material things, and you were angry. I have no legal basis to give this back to him, but you would be so smart if you gave it back to him.
I had never asked for it in the first place, Your Honor.
You want to give it back to him?
I would be happy for him to have it if that would make him happy.
Thank you. This case is over.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Next step
Appreciate your time.
Bartender Terry Tucker is suing 22-year-old student Becky Marquez for throwing a beer bottle at her car. Becky says Terry's story is a lie.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Hello. Thank you. Your Honor, this is case number 255 on the calendar in the matter of Tucker versus Marquez. How you doing, Judge?
Good. How are you, Bird?
Doing fine. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Tucker, your complaint is that the defendant, who is a total stranger to you, damaged your car in a parking lot of a bar.
Yes, ma'am.
When did this happen?
Saturday, September 2nd, after midnight, so it'd probably be Sunday, early morning.
How long had you been at the bar?
For about 45 minutes.
You drove?
Yes, ma'am.
Parked your car in the parking lot?
Yes.
What happened when you came outside?
Miss Marquez was coming across the street towards the club, and she had not made it to the curb yet, and she had asked if I had seen a Lorraine Marin. And I told her, no, I haven't, and I really don't give a about that girl.
Why would you answer that way?
Well, Your Honor, I was a little bit irritated that she came up to me because this girl has a bad reputation, and I was in a bad mood. Lorraine Marin.
Yeah.
And I was in a little bit bad mood, and I was a little bit rude to her. But I don't care for her. She has a really bad reputation in our community. And
you mean this Lorraine has a bad
Yes.
reputation, but you didn't know her at all?
No, I didn't.
You were in a bad mood?
Yeah.
So you were rude?
A little bit.
Okay. What happened next?
She stepped up onto the curb to the sidewalk and said, you have a really bad attitude.
Which you did?
Yes.
Okay.
And she says, obviously, you don't know who I am. And I told her, I really don't care who you are. And at that time, she kept coming forward to me, and I said, what are you going to do, beat me up? And she didn't say anything. And she proceeded to just stand about 4 feet away from me with her back up to the wall of the club entrance.
So, she's standing with her back towards the club entrance.
At that point, I didn't want anything to deal with her. I did not want to fight with her. I just got in my car and left. She didn't say anything. She was really quiet. So when I was pulling out, I noticed her hands were in her jacket pocket, and she was just looking at me. She pulled out a bottle of beer and hurled it at my car. And it hit my window like about right here. And if it would have hit 4 inches down lower, this would have been a whole different case. She would have hit me in the head. I could have been blind. I could have, been maimed for life.
Was your car window open or closed?
Yes, it was open all the way down, and there was glass all over me, and I was completely wet. I had a prior burn cooking, and it had opened up from the glass, and it was bleeding.
So what did you do?
I got out of my car. She was kind of just standing there. I think she had thought she had made her mark, but she didn't. And I went up to her, and I got her by the nape of the neck, and I held her down away from my body, and I told the patrons in the bar to call the cops. I'm putting her under citizen's arrest.
And somebody called the police?
Someone did call the police.
Police arrived?
The police did not arrive. She started to struggle and squirm, and she was saying, let me go, let me go. And I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable detaining her. So I let her go, and she darted off around the club and down some dark railroad tracks. And at that point, my friends urged me. I was bleeding, kind of a little bit stunned. So I went home, and I called the police. They said, I'm over here. Come and take a police report.
And did they?
Yes, they did.
How did you find out her name?
Because we live in a really small neighborhood. It's Niles, and we have a mutual friend that works at a pizza parlor in our town.
But you had never had any contact with her
I've
before?
never seen her before. But her family has a very...
I don't care about her family. I'd like to see the photographs that you seem to have, and I'd like to see the police report, please. Okay, and you actually saw the defendant pick up this bottle and hit your car with it?
I saw her put her hand in her coat and take it out of the coat and go like this.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Marquez, would you tell me your version of the events, please?
Yes, ma'am. On September 3rd, it was past midnight, I had been out with Lorraine. I somehow lost her because I don't go inside the bars. She had been sitting, playing pool, whatever she was doing inside the Derby, and I went back there to not pick her up, but to meet with her, and I didn't go inside the bar. The bar door was closed, and she was exiting the bar. Terry Tucker was exiting the bar. And I asked her, hey, is Lorraine in there? She said, I don't know who that Lorraine is, and I don't really care where she is. And I just stood there, and I was like, man, you got an attitude problem, lady. And she's all, I know I do. What are you going to do about it? I wasn't exactly looking for a physical altercation with her. I just wanted to ask. I asked a simple yes or no question. She proceeded to just keep calling me all kinds. She called me a Mexican hussy, a chicken. She called me all kinds of and I hadn't even spoken after this. I had just still asked a simple question. And see, I'm not accustomed to be spoken to this way, especially when I'm not, doing anything to her. And I just stood there, and I'm not going to walk off. I proceeded to wait for her. And she just kept talking and talking and talking and calling me all kinds of names. She then got in her car, and then she turned it on, she reversed. I was still standing there, and she rolled down her window, and she's all, I told you you weren't going to do nothing, you chicken. Then I started saying something back to her, and I was like, you know, what do you want me to do? You know, I wasn't looking for any kind of problems with this lady. And she, after I started yelling, you know, back at her, because I wasn't yelling at her when I was standing there, she got out of her car, and she walks up to me, and she's all, watch this, you little, and she grabbed my hair, and I've never been tossed around like this, okay? She grabbed my hair, wrapped it around her wrist, got her nails into my scalp, and then said, you're like coming with me, and she walked me off to the side. At this point, I'm totally hunched over, I'm like in shock, going, oh my God, you know, because I couldn't do anything about it. And she starts pounding on the barred door, and I'm like, thinking it's funny right now, because I'm like, oh, I can't believe this is happening. I just asked her, is Lorraine in there, you know, and they open the door, and she walks in, and my head smacks the side of the door where the, you know, whatever. Okay. And then I started to taste blood, and I started, you know, I was bleeding, my eye was messed up, my gums were bleeding, I got scraped along the side of the door, and then I was like, I'm bleeding, let me go, you know, come on. And then when I heard she was calling the cops, yeah, I started to wiggle and squirm around. I was appalled. I couldn't believe that I'm getting my, you know, or excuse my, I started squirming, let me go, let me go, let me go.
And you finally got free?
Yeah, she let me go. There's no way I could have gotten free if she wouldn't let me go.
Where did you go?
Walked home. I lived like 2 minutes from the place. And that's when I went home, and I said, I'm bleeding. There's blood clotted at the bottom of my nostrils. And she opens the door, and she's like, I'm like, you weren't at the bar, you know, where were you?
Listen to my question.
Huh?
So you got home.
Mm-hmm.
Did you call the police?
No.
You were just severely assaulted. Blood is all over your mouth. Blood is caking in your nose. You were assaulted by a perfect stranger. They're asking a simple question. When, for the first time, were you contacted by the police?
The next day, I was in the shower, and the doorbell rang. I then said, who is it? It says, Fremont Police, ma'am.
Okay, so it was the next day
that
you were contacted by the police in connection with the plaintiff's complaint of vandalism.
Yes.
Prior to this incident, have you ever been arrested?
What does that have to do with it? I know what it is. Yes, I have.
Speak not. I'm not speaking to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Terry Tucker is suing Becky Marquez for throwing a beer bottle at her car. Becky says Terry attacked her for no reason.
Okay. When was the last time you were arrested?
August 31st, 2000. Charges were dropped. No case.
What were you arrested for?
I don't care to discuss that. That's not what I'm here for.
Prior to the 31st of August, when were you arrested?
I don't see what that has to do with this. That's all fine. Yeah, I've been arrested more than once. That's fine. I have no problem admitting that. I don't care if I win or lose this. I am here to make a statement that I did not do anything at all to this perfect stranger. I asked her a question, and that is it. Regardless as to my record, that's nobody's business. Well, yours or hers or anybody's.
Are you currently, Miss Marquez, taking any medication?
Am I?
Yes.
No, I am not, ma'am.
Any prescription medication?
No, I am not, ma'am.
Any other kind of medication?
No, I am not, ma'am.
Okay. So now you're going to have my ruling. Ruling is based on common sense. Do you understand where I'm going?
Oh, yeah.
Bert and I have been together for a long time, Miss Marquez. Bert's got the same kind of nose that I do, right? What doesn't seem to fit, Miss Marquez, with regard to your statement is, common sense would dictate, madam, that if someone had just for absolutely no reason assaulted me, causing me to bleed in the mouth, have kicked up blood in my nostrils, pulled my hair, banged my head into a wall, the first thing that I would do when I made it home that couple of blocks is to pick up the phone, call the police, and say, this perfect stranger, who absolutely had a bad attitude, just assaulted me. This is where it happened. You did nothing. On the other hand, the plaintiff contacted the police immediately. The police responded. The police noted damage to the car. The police noted glass all over the car, totally consistent with someone throwing some sort of an object at the car. Common sense would dictate that when someone is the victim of a crime, in this case vandalism, they want the right person apprehended. They don't want the wrong person apprehended. They want the right person to be apprehended and to be punished, right? So there would be no reason that she would give your name as the person who threw the bottle at her car unless it was true. Let me see the estimates of the damage, please.
The last thing I'm going to do is bring to your attention that I've been arrested before, since it's all out in the open. Obviously, due to this, I am on certain court-ordered probation. The last thing I'm going to do is call the cops and bring them to me for any reason. I wasn't fatally injured. I was going to get over it. I took a shower, cleared up, had a bruise for a couple of days. The last thing I'm going to do is call the police, because when that happens, most of the time, they're not in my favor. I'm not going to call the police. They're not. It wasn't necessary.
You were the victim of an assault.
And I'm not going to call the police. I don't call the cops on nobody, especially not myself. The further away I stay from them, the better off I am. Period.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $758.
That's fine.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Yeah.
I anticipate there may be a little bit of problems.
We want the truth to come out, and I will talk to Terry later.
Just tell the truth and do what you think is right.
And now the next case.
All parties on Safdar versus Johnson. Step forward.
25-year-old waitress Violet Safdar is suing former friend, 25-year-old waitress Melissa Johnson, for the unpaid balance on a used car. Melissa is countersuing for repair bills.
You and the defendant used to be friends, and then you made the stupid mistake of selling her a used car.
Yes.
Never did that. And it is your claim that she owes you $500, which was the agreed-upon price.
Yes.
She says that the repairs cost more than you told her they were going to cost. She's countersuing for $1,600, and she says you stole the pink slip to her car. Right?
Yes.
And that this whole thing would not have come down to a lawsuit, except that you had a fight over something at your place of employment about filling up ketchup bottles.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Didn't you ever hear the expression?
That's not right
I want
either.
you to try receiving and stop talking. Maybe you'll be more successful in life.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Violet Safdar says former friend Melissa Johnson owes her for the unpaid balance on a car. Melissa says Violet lied about its condition.
Okay, just for my own curiosity, you didn't tell me what the fight was about the ketchup bottles, so who's going to tell me about that?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay, randomly at work, to do finish our end of day side work for our job.
You are both waitresses?
Yes. So I asked her, are you going to help me with my side work? She said no. At that point, I didn't say anything. I stayed a half-hour overtime to finish my work. She stayed. We went home. I was living with her at the time. We went home. And from then, we haven't talked.
And was the side work filling up the ketchup bottles?
And syrups.
And syrups?
Yes. Which are two big jobs instead of like two small jobs, or like setups and sugar and salt. So.
Okay. When did you sell her this car?
June 2000.
What kind of car was it?
A Honda 1986 Prelude.
What was the agreement?
The agreement was that the car needed, that I knew of, $600 to $700 worth of work, and she would then pay me when the work was done.
Just a minute. What was the agreed upon price of the car?
$500.
Is that right?
She said when I was able to make the payments or pay whenever I could the $500 when the car was fixed. To this day, the car is still not fixed. I've made almost $3,000 in repairs.
Well, why didn't you stop at $600?
I had already put too much in it, and it was
no.
It was stupid to just stop. Because why did I put that much? I'm not getting that back. If I put that in it, why?
Miss Johnson, you took the car to a mechanic. What was the first thing that the mechanic said to you when you brought the car there?
They told me it would cost around probably about $600, and then 2 days later, it broke down again.
Just
it was another
so
problem.
Initially
Another.
Initially, you took it to a place of your choice.
Mm-hmm.
They told you it would cost you between $600 and $700 to fix it, which is exactly what she said to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you started to fix it.
Yes.
So she did not purposely deceive you.
No, but she didn't know what all was wrong with the car.
That's
either.
your problem. You buy a car that's 14 years old. The fact that you decided to spend more money doesn't mean that you get another farthing from her, so your counterclaim is dismissed.
Well, I don't think that I should have had to put that much into it.
You shouldn't have.
No.
It's not her fault, it's your fault.
And should I go and
Listen
spend
to me.
even more money on another car? That's not right.
No,
I have this
no,
car.
Ms. Johnson,
I'm dealing with it.
Don't try to talk over me. No. You shouldn't spend any more money on this car.
So should
Didn't
I
you
just
ever hear
left
the
it?
expression?
That's not right
I want
either.
you to try receiving and stop talking. Maybe you'll be more successful in life. Did you ever hear the expression, throwing good money after bad? Did you ever hear that expression?
No.
Bird, did you ever hear the expression, throwing good money after bad?
Mm-hmm. Every time I spend bad money.
Right. Would you keep pouring thousands of dollars into a 14-year-old car?
No.
You would say, I'm going to cut my losses, and instead of spending $3,000 to get this car fixed, once the $600 is over, I'm going to unload this car. Maybe I can get a couple of $100 for it and buy myself a car that maybe runs. It's not her fault that you decided to put all this money in the car. She did not commit fraud against you. She had the same information you got from your own person. Nobody can tell that a car is going to continually break down. Nobody.
Yeah,
so
even
your
the mechanic said I would be back. Even the mechanic the first time said I would keep coming back.
Counterclaim is dismissed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You still have the car?
Yes, not really, but it's broke down in Corona. I don't run now.
Do you want it?
Not really.
Good. You want to sign over the pink slip to her?
It's still in my name.
Shh. So you still own the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Go and get it.
I've put too much money into it to just give it up like that.
Well,
she did sign it over. She gave me the pink slip, and then she went and deceived me and took it out of the car.
Listen to me. Listen to me. You never paid her for the car. Shh. Listen to me. You
She
can't have
gave
it
me the
both
pink
ways.
slip. She did give me the pink slip, and then
Ms.
she
Johnson,
took it back from
pay
me.
attention. Do you want the car?
Yes, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to resell it. Now I put too much money into it. It's useless to just throw it away like that.
Fine, then you have to give her $500.
I worked hard for that much.
Shh, just listen to me. Then you have to give her $500.
I don't believe I should. No, it's...
You didn't pay her for the car.
She never asked for the money until that ketchup incident.
So you had to fight over the ketchup, then she wanted the
She
money.
threw a fit over ketchup, so she asked for the money.
Ms. Johnson, you want the car, or you want to pay her for the car?
I don't want the car, but I'm going to keep it because I spent too much money on it.
Then you have to pay her. Now what do you want to do?
I guess I don't have a choice, but I don't feel I should have to.
You prepared to sign this car over to her?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Sign the car over to her. Complete the paperwork, judgment for the plaintiff, in the amount of $500. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in her is the grandfather of 16-year-old Jade Warner. Jade claims that her former high school friend, 18-year-old Jessica Reno, keyed her grandfather's car after they had a falling out.
Come to order. Order in the court. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 215 on the calendar in the matter of Warner versus Reno. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You're welcome. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Warner, you really don't know anything about this case. You are merely the owner of the car that was damaged. Is that right?
Correct.
And it's your granddaughter who was driving the car or the truck.
Correct.
So why don't you have a seat, and I'd like to see Jade Warner, please. Step up. Miss Warner, according to what I've read, you and the defendant were friends for a while, and then you had sort of a falling out over a boy. It was your boyfriend or her boyfriend, and then it became your boyfriend. Whatever. It's nonsense. In any event, this thing culminated, according to you, when the defendant keyed your car. And you say that happened on the 19th of August.
Yes.
Where did it happen?
It happened at Holly Kellogg's house.
And what makes you think that the defendant, who denies that she did this, was involved in keying your car?
At 9:55 p.m. on August 19th, Holly called me because she needed a ride home from her work. I went up there to go pick her up, and as I was walking out with Holly, Jessica was standing by my car.
Okay, so you know Holly?
Yes.
Well, according to your answer, I read your answer, you said she was a friend of yours.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
Okay, I was leaving Coach's, and...
Coach's is what?
Holly's work. And Jessica was in a truck, a white truck, with her other friend, and they followed me from Holly's work to Holly's house, which is about 5 miles.
As we went into Holly's house, I parked my car. We went in there. I was getting a couple of things out of Holly's room. Holly was closing her blinds. As she was looking in her blinds, she saw Jessica circle.
Don't tell me what she saw. Where is Holly?
Holly is right there.
Step up, please. No, you can stay.
Okay.
Right next to her. All right, so the plaintiff picked you up from work?
Correct.
Drove you home?
Correct.
You all went inside. According to the plaintiff, you observed something when you were closing the blinds when you got
Correct.
into your house. What did you observe?
As I was closing the blinds, I looked out my window and noticed there was a white truck and pulled up like closely to my driveway, and we have a security light outside that comes on and like a motion detector. And I looked out to see a like white truck with designs on the side. I noticed that it was the truck that Miss Reno had been riding in as they had followed me to my house from work.
How do you know that they had followed you home? Did you see the truck?
Yes. As I got into the car, I noticed that someone was following us closely, and I was looking behind to figure out who it was, and I noticed it was them, and I proceeded to ask Jade if they had had a problem or something, because I didn't understand why.
When you said you saw it was them, did you turn around to look in the rearview mirror?
I turned around and looked, and she had switched lanes, and so I saw that. I saw that it was completely those Jessica and her friend in the white truck.
Okay. Now, when you got to your house, did you see the truck?
They
Before you looked out the window?
Correct.
Did you see the truck as you pulled into...
No.
Pulled up to your truck?
As I had made a right-hand turn to turn onto one of the streets that leads me to my house, they had gone straight. As I watched them, like, speed off, I saw Jessica with her hand out the window, flipping us off, yelling something, and I didn't understand at that point what was going on, because as far as I knew, her and I had been friends.
Okay. Now you're inside the house, closing your blinds. Now you're going to tell me exactly what you saw.
Okay. As I look out my blinds, I see that there's the same white truck. There was a driver in the car, which was Jessica's friend. Jessica was walking around Jade's car, and her hand was down here. And I was trying to figure out what was going on, and as I looked and glanced a little bit longer, I could see that she was keying her car. And I didn't want to walk outside, so I stayed inside and yelled for my mom, and my mom came out, and then I saw the truck speed off.
Then you went outside after this?
Correct.
What did you observe when you went outside?
There was key marks on my car.
Do you have photographs?
Yeah.
May I see them, please?
On the photographs, you can see the metal that has been, but it's clearly the 4 panels on each side of the car.
Certainly is. Okay, Ms. Reno, let's hear you.
Okay, I brought my friend Jessica.
Don't tell me you brought your friend. You look at me.
Okay, about 9:20, my friend had picked me up from my house. We went over to my friend Jason's house, and he wasn't there. His roommate had told us that he was going to Coach's to have dinner with his family and then going to Sharky's to play pool. So we went over to Coach's, and there we had seen Jade, and we saw her car after we came out. And I had wondered how she got in because she's not even 18. So I had asked someone that was in her car if she was coming to hang out or whatever, and how she got in because she's not 18. And she said that they were here to pick up Holly. And I was like, oh, okay, I want to see Holly because me and Holly are friends. So she came after she had said that. She came outside, and Holly said hi, and we gave each other a hug, and then we proceeded on about our night. They got in their car, they left, we got in the truck, we left. We followed them to about Avenue L. They turned right, and we turned left. We proceeded to go to Sharky's, which is a pool hall, to look for my friend, and he wasn't there, and so we just proceeded to go to Jessica's house, which we were there by 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Now, who were you with that night?
Jessica.
Jessica, what's her last name?
Pavovoroff.
Is that you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Step up. Do you know Holly?
No, Your Honor, I don't. I met her just briefly at a party they had at their house.
Do you know Jade?
I met Jade before. She spent the night at our house when she was 14 years old.
How long ago was that?
Almost two and a half, Your Honor.
Were you driving a white truck that night?
Yes, I was.
Does the white truck have any markings on it?
It has a big dent in the side, and it has pinstriping on it.
Mm-hmm. You yourself have never had a falling out with Miss Warner,
No,
is that right?
No.
But you know that Miss Reno has had some problems with her.
Well, from what I knew, they were friends, and I don't know what happened between them. They just stopped hanging out.
Okay. Now, you heard Holly told me that at some point when the cars separated after she was picked up from work, that Miss Reno gestured out her car window to their car and said something. Did you hear that?
No, Your Honor. What's funny is from where they live and where we live and all the way to Sharkey's, it's totally the distance. We're going the opposite way. And we have a map right here that shows that it's the opposite way. And my mom was at home when we got there, and we got there, but it was before even 10. So if this happened at, what, 9:55, when this supposedly happened, then there's no possible way because we were at home.
Judge Judy continues, and a moment says former high school friend, 18-year-old Jessica Reno, keyed her grandfather's car.
Okay. What time that evening did you get picked up at work?
About 10:15. I hadn't clocked out till 10:12 that evening.
And how long does it take you to get home?
Takes me about 10 minutes.
So you were at home by 10:30?
Correct.
And it's your statement that you were in your house at 10:30?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to hear from your mother.
That's good. Your Honor.
Your last name?
Pivovarov.
Do you recall the evening of August 19th?
Yes, I do.
How do you recall that evening?
Because Jessie had come home from San Diego to visit her friend, and I had gone to bed early because I was very tired, and I have a little dog that sleeps with me, and just before 10 it started barking and woke me up, and I had seen my clock on the end table, and it's a digital, but I only could see the first number, and it was 9 something, because the first digit of the clock I could see, and I had my Bible and my book studies on my stand, and it was covering the last couple numbers. And I tried to quiet my dog down, and she wouldn't relax, so I finally got up, and the girls were in the kitchen talking and snacking. So I sat up until probably about 12 o'clock that night with them talking. So they were in, I would say, at least a couple minutes before 10.
Were you contacted by the police that night?
I wasn't, but I was there when Jessica Reno's mom, Pat, called the house and said the police had been at her house. I was sitting at the table with the girls when they called. And the police had asked, I believe, my address and stuff, but they never did come over.
Approximately what time did you receive that phone call?
12:30.
No.
I don't know. I don't even know what time it was. Probably 11:30, 12. I don't know.
And you stayed downstairs with them the entire evening?
Yeah, until I went to bed, and it was after 12, and I finally went to bed, and then they were still up talking.
Were you there when the phone call came in from Jessica's mother?
Yes, I was.
Did you speak to Jessica's mother?
I don't think I did.
Well, let me ask you this question. Clearly, when her mother called, she said something about the police wanting to speak to Jessica?
Well, my daughter answered the phone.
When the phone rang and it was Jessica's mom on the phone, what did she say to you?
She said, I need to speak with Jessica. And I said, okay. And then Jessica started talking to her mom, and she's like, what? What are you talking about? You know?
So there came a time, I assume, when Jessica got off the phone with her mom. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And did she tell you what had happened?
Yes.
What did she say during the course of the conversation with you about the conversation she had with her mother?
She said that the cops went to the house and they said that Jade had called the cops and said that Jessica had keyed Jade's car. And then we got another call later saying Jessica's car had been egged with 82 eggs, and it's a coincidence that Jade's car got keyed and Jade thought it was Jessica, so all of a sudden Jessica's car got egged with 82 eggs and the house.
Just a second, I'm not finished.
Yes, ma'am.
That's more information than I asked for. Now, you got off the phone with Jessica's mom. The police were looking for her. Is that right? That's what your mother told you?
Yes.
And you knew that your daughter and Jessica had been out together that night?
That's right, Your Honor.
And then you went to bed?
Right.
You didn't call back Jessica's mother?
No.
You weren't concerned that if they were looking for Jessica about something that happened that night, perhaps your daughter was involved?
Because,
No, I'm just asking you. You weren't concerned that if the police were looking for your daughter... Let me finish. You weren't concerned that if the police were looking for Jessica because of an incident that happened that night? Because I assume they got off the phone and told you what the police were looking for her for,
Yes,
right?
Your Honor.
And I assume that you knew that the two girls were together.
That's right.
So it would seem logical to me as a parent that you would want to get this information about where these two girls were accused of being that night, at least from her mother, not from what she's reporting to you. But you went to bed.
Yes, because Mrs. Reno had talked to the police.
How do you know that?
Because she said the police had been at her house.
Right.
Had been at her
That's
house.
what I'm saying. But
Oh,
Jessica
sorry.
reported that to you,
Right.
correct?
Right.
Jessica's reporting all of this to you about the conversation.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So Jessica's reporting about the conversation to you. And you as a parent of a young girl, knowing that they're out together that night, don't pick up the phone to call the other mother? You
No.
went to sleep?
No, because she told Jessica the cops had been there. The incident happened after 10, and I knew the girls were at my house, so I knew they couldn't have done it.
Well, then I would have picked up the phone and made a phone call to either the police or to her mother and said, that's impossible. How could they be looking for Jessica and Jessica when they were both here sitting in my kitchen having cookies and milk?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If somebody said to you, your daughter has just been accused of being involved in a crime, you wouldn't go to sleep and say, I hope somebody figures this out. I hope we have Sherlock Holmes on the case.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jade Warner says former friend Jessica Reno owes for keying her grandfather's car.
Okay. Now, one of my children were accused of being involved in a vandalism. And I knew that my children were sitting at the kitchen table with me. I would have called back Jessica's mother and said to give me the name of the police officer who just called you, because I have to call them immediately and tell them that the girls were sitting with me for the last hour and a half. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Have a seat. Let me see estimates for the damage to the car. We understanding each other?
Yes, we do very well. Thank you, Your Honor.
Right.
Your Honor.
Who wants to say something? Sure.
I'm Jessica's mom. The girls were at my house, left at 9:40. We have brought a map, or 9:20, I'm sorry, of the 3 places they went.
I don't believe that they went to the 3 places, madam. Your daughter does not deny the fact that she was at Coach's. The only discrepancy is where they went after Coach's. The only defense that they have is that they went directly to Jessica Two's house where they were sitting in the kitchen having milk and cookies at the time of this incident. I don't need a map. I need the truth. And she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Because if you are a concerned parent, now just figure out what I just said to her. If somebody called your house and said to you, your daughter has just been accused of vandalizing property or being involved in a crime, and you knew she was sitting at your kitchen table during that time, all night, would you not contact the police and tell them that immediately? Would you not do that?
I would do that.
Of course. You wouldn't go to sleep and say, I hope somebody figures this out. I hope we have Sherlock Holmes on the case. You would pick up the phone and you would call immediately. This lady, who's a very nice lady, has a daughter who's driving a car, a truck, who at least could be considered, if this were true, an accomplice.
But her daughter was not accused of this crime. It was just my daughter.
I'm telling you, if you are driving the car in which somebody is using as a vehicle to get away from performing a crime, they call that in movie land the getaway car. Then you pick up the phone and you say, the girls couldn't have been involved with that because they were with me. Right? Of course.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I'll tell you one of the things that I found most interesting, Miss Reno. There is a witness. There is an eyewitness. And the eyewitness is somebody who, according to you, was a friend of yours. Because I'm going to read from your answer. Holly is a girl who I've been friends with for years. Holly said hi and gave me a hug. This was at Coach's that night. So you have to say to yourself, why in the world would somebody make up a story about having seen a friend commit a crime unless it were true? When somebody is a crime victim, they don't want just somebody to be punished. They want the right person to be punished. They don't want the wrong person to be punished. That doesn't make them feel good. So I can understand it. If you two girls had had a falling out and you accused her, anyway, say maybe you were making it up, maybe it wasn't her, maybe you thought it might be her. But when Holly says she saw you, and then your mother doesn't give me a very maternal answer as to what she did after she found out that the police were looking for the girls by going to sleep, I find that I am convinced by the required quantum of proof in this civil proceeding, which is proof by clear and convincing evidence, that you, in fact, are responsible. And the damage is $1,648.22. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
31-year-old homemaker Michelle Loftus is suing her neighbors, 33-year-old customer service rep Cheryl Earhart and her daughter, 14-year-old Robin Earhart, for stolen items, damage to her apartment, and damage to her truck.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 91 on the calendar in the matter of Loftus versus Earhart.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Young man, have a seat, please.
Ms. Loftus, your complaint is that you hired, I assume, this young lady.
Yes, ma'am.
To do some house sitting for you and take care of your cat.
Correct.
And your complaint is that when you came home, your house was pretty much a mess. Some things were missing, and in addition, there was evidence that someone had driven your truck.
Yes, ma'am.
And you believe it was either the defendant or one of her friends.
She admits to it, yes.
Okay. You're her?
I'm her mother.
Why don't you have a seat? How old are you?
14.
14. Okay, so you're really suing her mother.
Yeah.
On what day did this incident occur?
April 29th of this year.
You did work for her on the 29th?
Yes.
And what were your responsibilities on that day?
To water plants, make sure her cat was taken care of.
And how long were you supposed to stay in her apartment?
She told me she wouldn't be back till late night, so she just wanted me to be around there to check on her cat, and I could stay there, spend time with her cat.
Okay. What time did you arrive?
Well, I had went there in the morning.
Give me some time, an approximate time.
It was probably around 11.
And how long did you stay?
I was there for like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, when did you come back?
About 4:30.
Okay. You came back at 4:30, and when you came back at 4:30, were you alone?
No.
Who was with you?
My two friends, David and Ben.
And how long did you stay at that time?
We stayed there about, I'm guessing around 7:30.
So you stayed through dinner time?
Yes.
You ordering dinner?
No, I made dinner.
Where?
At her house.
Whose food did you use?
My mom's. Well, mine, essentially.
What do you mean? Explain that to me.
I went to my house and I grabbed some steak and the seasoning and everything like that, but I made it at her house.
You went back to your house to get the steak
Yes.
and stuff. And you left Ben and David in the house?
Yes.
And by the time you came back, how many other people were there?
There was 2 people in the house.
Just Ben and David?
Just Ben and David.
How many people in total were there that evening?
Just Ben and David.
So just the 3 of you?
Yes.
Just a minute. So you had dinner?
Yes.
Did you clean up after dinner?
Yes, I did.
Then where did you go?
Well, we had dinner and then we were talking for a little while, and then they were saying...
Look at me.
They were saying to go to their friend's house or have their friend come pick us up. So
Look at me.
we called their friend, and they came and picked us up. And they didn't go inside of the house, they came outside of the house.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you know about her truck?
Her truck? Well, my friends had needed to go home to take a shower or something. And
You left this out. You mean your friends David and Ben?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way I could think of to get them a ride, because they couldn't find a ride with anybody, I found the keys and I handed it to them and I said, well, just take the truck. We're only going to be borrowing it for a little while, and we'll bring it back and put some gas.
They had to take a shower before or after they ate?
Before.
And for some reason, at 4:30 in the afternoon, Ben and David both had this urgent need to get clean, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I assume that Miss Loftus does not have a shower in her house.
Yes,
so
she
that
does.
So that they had to
But
go.
they didn't have their own clothes there. They weren't going to wear her clothes.
What was wrong with their clothes?
They were dirty. They needed to take a shower, and the only way I could find them a ride was with her truck.
So they used her truck. What time did they leave with her truck?
Like maybe an hour after we got there, half an hour, I don't know.
4:30, 5 o'clock, they left with her truck. And what time did they get back?
Like an hour after.
All right, now, Miss Loftus, now that I've finished with her, tell me what you found when you came home.
I had furniture out of place, food droppings on the kitchen floor. The bathroom door was closed, and so I opened up the bathroom door, and there's a lit candle in my bathroom, and out runs my cat. So
From the bathroom?
Yes, ma'am. There was claw marks from her claw on the bathroom door when she was trying to get out. There was 12 phone calls on my caller ID from, I'm assuming, her friends. And after this, I was receiving several very obscene and threatening phone calls from her friends. And I believe that's how they got the phone number, was that day. I didn't realize that my truck had been taken that day because, like I said, it was late at night. And we didn't take my truck that day mainly for the main reason is my truck was very, very low on oil. I encountered another neighbor the next day who asked me, she said, you know, who was driving your truck yesterday? And I said, what do you mean who was driving my truck? Well, there was a bunch of kids that got in your truck. I know you don't have any kids. And so I turned around and went back home and I called her. I said, you need to get over here right now. I want my keys back. And I hung up the phone. Later, I went to go to her house. And that's when I thought I'd calm down. Maybe that her mom would be home because her mom is very seldom home. So I went over, went to knock on the door, and there was one of her boyfriends standing out there at the door. And I said, where's Robin? And he said, she's not here, don't worry about it. And I said, are you the one that drove my truck yesterday? And he goes, he said, that's none of your business. Okay. I said, well, then I'll just go call the police and we'll settle it that way. And I left. Just when I got home, I hadn't even picked up the phone to call the police yet. My phone rang. It was a boy's voice. And he said, if you call the cops on Robin, you're going to be sorry and your truck will never run again. I went out and I did look at my truck, and there's several dents and scratches in it. There was a half a tank of gas gone, and there was at least 70 miles driven on my truck. I have photos of my truck.
That I want to see.
Okay. And I also included in here, there's also some photos of the wall. There's some dents in my wall, one in the hallway, one in my bathroom that are up further on the wall, and there's a cigarette burn on the carpet floor. And I do have the police report.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. I have a map also that shows the distance that she admits to driving.
What do you mean she admits to driving? Did she
In the
ultimately
police
admit?
report, yes, ma'am. In the police report, she admits it, and so I mapped that out for you if you'd like to see.
Let me look at the police report. Who's Jason? Who's Jason?
One of my friends.
One of the friends who was there?
No.
Jason wasn't there that day?
No, Jason was in California that day with his dad or his
That's
mom. One
interesting.
of those.
Jason wasn't there. You're lying.
No, I'm not.
Oh, yes, you are.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There was some sort of sexual activity that went on my bed.
When teenagers have an empty house, that is a prescription for trouble.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Loftus says she hired neighbor 14-year-old Robin Earhart to watch her apartment. Michelle says Robin and some friends damaged her home, stole personal belongings, and took her truck for a joyride.
Now you can stand up.
Your Honor, may I say them?
Yeah.
One of the other things that I found in my house, there were several items missing out of my dresser drawers and my jewelry box, a pair of diamond earrings. I had some other things taken, but one of the other things that I found was that there was some sort of sexual activity that went on my bed.
Miss Earhart, when did you first find out about this problem?
I had come home from work, and Michelle met me pretty much at my car. She was really upset about what was happening.
Did your daughter initially admit to you that she and her friends drove the plaintiff's truck?
No. She had said that she did not use the truck.
Right. So initially she told you she had not used the truck.
Right.
When did she finally admit to you that she did use the truck?
It was probably a few days later. We were confronted by the police.
So then she admitted she was involved in using the truck.
She told me that they had used the truck, but...
What do you mean they had used the truck? What does that
well,
mean?
whoever was with her at the apartment, that they had used the truck, but that she wasn't involved.
She wasn't involved? If it's true that she wasn't there, she gave him the keys. She just told me she gave him the keys. How much more involved can you be? Excuse me?
Can I speak?
When I'm ready. You were entrusted to go into somebody's house and to perform certain tasks. Instead, you abused that privilege because you had an empty house, and when teenagers have an empty house, that is a prescription for trouble. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Prescription, especially a teenager with an attitude. And she's got an attitude.
She didn't have this. Her and I had a really good friendship. Well, she'd come over, we'd talk, she'd tell me kind of, you know, a little bit about what was going on with her, that she had broken up with her boyfriend. She kind of took my advice, she said, and broke up with him because he was kind of abusive. And
which boyfriend was this?
I don't remember what his name was.
So now she had a couple of new friends. Now my next question to you is, she's 14 years old, so what you're doing is you're really suing her mother for, not for negligence, because this is not negligence on her part. This is an intentional act, right?
Correct.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
This is a criminal situation. And in a criminal situation, there is a different standard.
Okay.
So my question to you is, do you believe that her mother knew or should have known about her propensity for committing this kind of intentional act?
She should have known.
Why should she have known? And not you. You never had any indication that she would act irresponsibly in your house?
Since this has happened.
Talking about before.
Before, no.
You knew nothing?
No, she's always been very nice and polite to me.
And, by the way, who are these two young men?
These are two of the kids that live in the complex, and they actually saw all the kids that she had, because she had a lot more in the apartment than just the two boys that she said.
I'm absolutely positive that she did.
And they also saw her driving my truck.
Who saw her driving the truck? Step up here. Tell me your name.
Mel Blood.
Tell me what you saw on April 29th with regard to the plaintiff's truck.
I was playing with a couple friends, and I saw her get in the truck, and...
So who get in the truck?
Robin.
What else did you see?
I saw her running, her and some of her friends run up to Michelle's house, go in, and...
And how many people was she going in with?
I saw like 5.
Anything else that you saw?
No.
Have a seat. Tell me your name.
James Blood.
James, can you tell me what you remember of the 29th of April?
Well, I seen the trucks and everyone was sitting on it. Everyone that entered her apartment.
Was sitting on the truck?
Yes.
How many people did you see enter the apartment?
I didn't see them enter the apartment, but there was at least 5 sitting on the truck.
Did you see anything else?
No.
Sit down. By the way, have either of you two boys ever had any difficulty with this young lady before?
Well, we were helping someone. We were helping someone move into another apartment, and she come out and told the guy, "Why do you have these tattletales helping you?"
When was that?
I don't remember. It's like.
Was this after April 29th?
Yes.
Because you had told the plaintiff about what you saw?
Yes.
Sit down.
I have all the receipts and estimates for my truck. Would you like to see those?
Yes.
There was also medication stolen as well.
Let's hope it didn't do any damage.
I'm hoping.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your Honor, can I speak? First, take your hand off your hip. Stand up straight like you're in court. You're not at a beach.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Loftus says she hired neighbor 14-year-old Robin Earhart to watch her apartment. Michelle says Robin and some friends damaged her home, stole personal belongings, and took her truck for a joyride.
Go ahead.
When I took my cat to the vet, I had to take her that Monday because she was acting really sick, and they did blood tests on her and found marijuana in her blood system.
What?
And she also had a toxin in her blood system, and the vet said that that was probably from the candle that was left burning in the bathroom.
Cross your arms.
Your Honor, can I speak?
Yes. Now I'm going to listen to you. But before you say anything, first take your hand off your hip. Stand up straight like you're in court. You're not at a beach. And before you give me a lot of crap, you want to tell me about that day, how the cat ended up locked in the bathroom, how 70 miles got put on the truck, and then we're going to talk a little bit about your friends and you making her life miserable over something you did. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. Now you can talk.
First of all, when she called me, she did not tell me anything about the cat being in the bathroom. All she told me that there was a candle lit in the bathroom.
I'm asking you how the cat got locked in the bathroom.
I don't know how the cat got locked in the bathroom.
You don't know. How did 70 miles get put on the truck?
I told you we used the truck to get
No,
them
you
to
didn't
their
say
house.
we. You said the two boys needed to shower. You didn't say we. Now you want to say we? I'm going to give you a chance. You want to say we used the truck to go get them a shower. Did we use the truck to go get them a shower? Or did they leave you there cleaning up after a steak dinner?
I went with them the first
so you
time.
went... So
the
now there was...
first time.
Okay,
and I
listen.
sat in the truck to make sure nothing would happen to the truck.
Gets better all the time. Miss Earhart, I want you to tell me how many disciplinary proceedings you've had with regard to your daughter in the last 6 months in school.
2.
What were they about?
She was probably going to school about 3 or 4 days out of the week.
Since last September?
Yes. She told me she was going to school. Matter of fact, I didn't even find out about her truancy until the last quarter of her school because she was calling in for herself.
Did you have a parent-teacher conference the first semester at school?
Yeah, that was at the time that I had found out.
That she was being truant, and that
she was being truant.
Within the first semester at school.
Well, it would have been,
like in November.
Mid-third quarter. No, that would have been first quarter.
I'm talking about the first quarter. I'm talking about going to school for a parent-teacher conference the first quarter in school.
No.
Did you go?
No.
Okay. Is there any reason why you didn't go?
I couldn't make it. They were way too early.
Okay. I just changed my mind, madam. It appears to me that the defendant, the older defendant, had knowledge that her daughter was misbehaving, or should have known that her daughter was misbehaving, if she had done what she was supposed to do as a parent, which is going to school and making sure that your child is in school, speaking to the teachers, being up on things. She didn't do that. She had an appointment, she couldn't make it. And you as a parent had the responsibility to say to her, before you hire my daughter and leave her in your home, I want you to not do it because I'm not quite sure that I can vouch for her. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Now, I am not holding her responsible for the things missing out of your apartment, because that is, well, probably true, a stretch. She is, however, totally responsible for the damage that was done to your truck. That's $1,330. And she is responsible for the injury to your cat, which cost you $34 at the vet. That's $1,364. Now, the only thing that I have to tell you, young lady, is you have to live in your own skin your whole life. She did nothing wrong. They did nothing wrong.
I understand that.
Well, if you understand that, then it's up to you to make certain that your friends leave them alone.
I do not control my friends.
I'm just telling you, you may not control your friends, but if you are complaining to your friends that you got into trouble because of her, the morons that you hang around with will take it upon themselves to harass her a little bit. You wouldn't like it if somebody did that to your mother, would you? Listen, I'm not going to get through to her. I have a sense that she's a lost cause at 14. So why don't you do this? Why don't you change your number? Got it?
Will do.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues.